Hey, what's up, everybody? It's RambleCast time. How is the world doing? It's March 16th. This is a Corbin we have on camera who just waved ahead of schedule.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
Well,
Corbin can't wait to get to it.
oh yeah. I'm psyched. Definitely not running on fumes here. Absolutely not.
Well, so really quick, I just want to blow through one, we'll call it a topic, but it's not a topic. We're not going to talk about this. But for those of you, oh man, my webcam is screwed up on all the screens. Yay. For those that haven't heard, there's an exploit out there called Dirty Pipe. Like I said, not actually going to talk about this. Just going to quickly say, don't sideload random stuff for a long time. That's just the advice. Don't sideload random stuff. That's how Dirty Pipe works. Because in theory, anything going into the Play Store can block this. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just don't install anything by sideloading unless you trust the source. That's pretty much the whole thing. Otherwise, this is just an exploit for total system pwnage, basically. Yeah,
Always
that's
a fun time.
So, like I said, not a topic. Just wanted to get that one out of the way. So for the two people who got it, there's your PSA for today.
Yeah. So, yeah, Google announced some stuff this week, or I say announce. Um, a lot of the stuff they announced was announced a year or more ago, which is always fun. I love playing the game. Is the thing Google says new actually new? Very fun game. I've probably spent hundreds of hours of my life at this point playing it. Not sure I'd recommend though, but out of the things that were actually new, there was one thing. Oh, my dishwasher just
Oh, hey,
went
this
into
time I
third
actually
gear.
could hear it.
Yeah, it's revving up. I'm watching like everything because it's been broken for a week. So it seems to be fixed. It was dumping water all over my floor, and it's not doing that now. So
I would count that as at least sort of fixed.
it's running, and I don't see water on my floor, so we're doing good today. But I'll put this in. I don't know if Google probably put up a blog post about this somewhere, but I haven't seen it yet. And I will put it in the RambleCast. So Google is still testing their Play Games for PC app that they surprise announced last year at, I think it was the Game Awards or something. It was some game show. I remember because I had to write it at like 10 p.m. or something because that's when it was happening. So that was fun. But yes, this is their thing. This is their Windows app for downloading and running Android games from the Play Store. It's just like a Android emulator, basically, but official and slightly more well put together, probably, than BlueStacks. And they not a whole lot of extra technical details about how all this works that they hadn't already said. This already needs like a kind of decent PC. Like you need they call it a gaming class GPU, is what they recommend you have, which is a like basically a dedicated graphics card. They do say Intel Iris Xe graphics. I think that's Intel's new integrated graphics. Maybe I know they call it the XE. I don't, but anyway. So yeah, you need like kind of a good computer for this. I tried to install it on my laptop with integrated graphics, and it didn't even get to the installer. I couldn't even get to the point where my Google account would have been rejected because I'm not in South Korea. But was not happy about that. And of course, this is completely different than the whole subsystem Microsoft is working on, which is more for just apps. This is pretty much just for games. They're not letting you install applications through this. And right now they're still just testing it in 3 countries. Or wait, one of these is Hong Kong. That's not a country. South Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. Presumably because mobile games are more of a thing over there, I guess. But yeah, so you're still testing this. I'll probably try this when it comes out, but I don't see myself actually using this ever.
I don't know. I'm sure
there's a couple.
I will find uses for it someday.
Yeah.
Well, okay, actually, I take that back. I am sure someday this will find a way to become useful to me. In its current state, where it's only for games, as far as I'm aware, only for games that opt in. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's only
Right now, yeah, you can only grab like a handful of games. I don't imagine they'll keep it that way. That would be kind of weird.
well.
Like as long as the game supports like has x86 builds, which is not all of them. I don't know if this has the ARM translation stuff that's in Chrome OS, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the other thing. Seeing as this is for games, I could see some developers saying, "Wait, we have online matchmaking components. We don't want PC players with mouse and keyboard to be at a massive advantage or maybe disadvantage compared to other players." I could see that coming up. Maybe that would be.
I'm sure they would offer an opt out, just like devs can opt out of Chromebooks.
Yeah, so maybe it's opt in, maybe it's opt out. Whatever the case may be, I can see a lot of cases where this would be maybe not ideal to just push on the entire world. Regardless, at some point, maybe this will matter for games that I want to play on a desktop instead of playing them elsewhere. Also, I'm entirely on Mac right now, so this isn't super relevant to me.
This would give you games.
I mean, if they ever come out with something for Mac, sure.
Yeah. That's a good point. I forgot it's not. They don't seem to care about Mac right now.
Honestly, I kind of forgot about that too. But
I feel like they. I don't know. If I was Google, I'd probably do it because again, this is kind of based on a lot of their existing emulator code, and they already have the Android Studio emulator on Mac, so
yeah,
probably not that much extra work. But
yeah, but like all things, I'm sure Mac will get it just like 2 years after everything else.
Yeah,
they'll just come out of beta like 3 weeks before they say, hey, we're gonna start a beta for the Mac client, and all of a sudden Mac users are gonna be like, yo guys, thanks, but we already have access to the iOS store, so shove it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, that was a thing. Google also talked about some stuff they're doing with Stadia for the people who care about that.
And The Verge wrote a piece saying, hey, by the way, this is actually kind of cool because they're doing exactly what we and low-key what everybody else was already saying they should do, and they're pushing the white labeling thing.
They're pushing the white labeling thing, and they're also doing what I've seen some streaming services do, where you can download the app and like actually play some stuff without any account signups or anything. Which
instant trials,
yeah. I really don't know why they didn't have that already. It's at least for some stuff.
But yeah, there's so much stuff Stadia needed to have day one, or close to day one. Like they needed to at least announce and do it within the first, say, 6 months, maybe 9 months tops. And yeah, instant trials would have definitely been one of them. I can kind of see why they wouldn't have necessarily wanted to do the no account thing early on.
Mhm.
But yeah, it does make more sense to have that.
Yeah, so there's that. They're working on some back-end technologies that supposedly make porting games from Windows easier. Um, they didn't say like a whole lot of details. I know they were offering up the opportunity to talk to some game developers for Stadia, but I did not take that opportunity because I was slammed with work. So yeah, they talked a little bit about this. Like, there's some more QA tools for them. They have something that translates DirectX calls to Vulkan, which I assume is based on what Valve has been working on, because I don't know why it wouldn't be when it's open source. But they didn't mention Valve or anything at all, so who knows?
To be fair, it's possible they may have started that project a long time ago. Maybe before Valve was really in the scene.
I don't. Maybe I don't know, but yes, that's a thing. Again, like, I don't really know how much this will help things. They did mention that like the click to play trials are like very obviously working. Like they mentioned that their early test with click to play, excuse me, had 35% higher click through rates than just like an ad for a game, which that kind of makes sense. The button that says like you could play this game immediately in your web browser is probably more compelling than like, here's just a buy link, like you've seen everywhere else before.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, like, I still have not tried Stadia. I don't really care to. It's not really my target market, or I'm not its target market, I don't think. They don't really have a whole lot of the games I like to play still. Like, there's still no,
They don't have Roller Coaster Tycoon. Just say that, and
I haven't played Roller Coaster Tycoon in a hot minute, but yeah, I mean, that would help. But yeah, so
yeah,
maybe.
I don't know. In terms of game selection, I don't think they're doing that terribly, but it is definitely not inspiring when new games don't seem to be coming to Stadia. Obviously, my chief example of this is the lack of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands on the launch list. But in general, like, I don't know, I'm not seeing or hearing about new games coming to Stadia and going, oh, hey, that's something I can't wait to play. Granted, I don't have that feeling towards too many games in the first place, so that's maybe not the best indicator, but it feels like there needs to be something more.
Yeah, I was reading I was catching up on Discord messages from a couple people that were talking about like games they're really looking forward to this year, and like I'm just not really aware of like a lot of what's coming. I don't pay super close attention. Really, I think the only game that's coming out this year that I am like 100% for sure buying is Starfield from Bethesda. I'm like, I'm looking forward to that. Everything else, I'm good. I've got all the games that I bought 5 years ago that I can still play, and I've got the new Mario Kart DLCs are coming out soon. So that's my game of the year, most likely. It's just the extra tracks from Mario Kart. Which, no Mario Kart on Stadia, so that's not a good sign.
So the only game I know of that's coming this year that I don't want to say I'm looking forward to it, because I'm not actually going to buy it for quite a long time, but I really want to, is the Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, Forbidden West, I think was the name. Wow, dishwasher craziness. Uh,
Yeah, it's going.
but yeah,
Just kicking the fourth gear.
I want to play Horizon, so that's about it. And I'm probably not going to pick that up until I get a PlayStation 5, which, due to the combination of current finances and the available time and everything else, honestly, I just don't think I'm going to get to for quite a long time. Plus, I think that game launches in like a month or so. So, yeah, probably just going to be late to that party.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks, because I do love the franchise. Or, well, the one game that's been in it. So, yeah, that's probably the only thing. And that's a platform exclusive for Sony, so... You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I've got a lot of games that I bought and then played for like an hour, and I eventually want to go back to those, but just everything's been a lot lately. Just everything is a lot all the time.
Oh, which reminds me, there was... I'm not going to talk about it on stream, but there was something I definitely wanted to tell you about earlier before we went live, and something you said sidetracked me, and I didn't get back to it. But oh well, I'll tell you about it later. Sorry for anyone listening who's like, well, now tell us. I can't.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so again, like I'm not gonna like poo-poo on it. I don't really like poo-pooing on things. Like ideally Stadia would be doing well because then it would make everyone else more competitive, but it's the same Google thing where they don't really fully know what to do with it.
Well, I mean, they're up against, honestly, the hardest challenge there is, which is the fact that there are established game companies that have all of this existing IP, all of these existing exclusives. How do you compete with that if you're not going to invest an absolute stupid truckload of money into like building or buying game studios?
Yeah, just the past year, there's been an incredible amount of industry consolidation. And it's a little bit scary. And it would make Google's job much more difficult because it is getting to the point where just about every major game release is from a studio either owned by Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which is not good for anyone. I think I heard something beep. Something beep.
I heard it too, and I think it was on my phone.
Okay. I realized my phone wasn't on Do Not Disturb anyway, but I don't know if it's doing beeps. But yeah. Also, a reporter for Axios confirmed that the did we mention Google I/O on stream?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, I was so for everyone watching, Google did their little fun game thing that they do every year, where whoever solves the puzzle gets to know what dates Google I/O will be held on. And I guess someone solved it because they said, I think like 30 minutes ago, that I/O will be May 11th to 12th. And they kind of made it sound like it was in person and online, but Cody hypothesized before we went live that was a little bit of a fib, and it's probably just going to be online for us normal people.
Okay,
and
so that little bing sound that my phone just made, I see a message coming from Slack saying something about I/O is limited in-person attendance. So, I guess there is some attendance.
Yeah. Axios got a statement from Google that said the quote limited audience quote here will primarily be Google employees as well as some partners. So, I'm gonna venture to guess no one who is not like in the Android industry will be there. Like I don't know if they're gonna let news people there or not. Regardless, I'm perfectly fine to stay home for IO, because I hate that they do it outside. Because the one time I went to IO, I was a just absolute physical mess because that was right in pollen season, and I couldn't stop sneezing, and I was like basically overdosing on Allegro the whole time. It was not really helpful. So that's fine. As long as they keep doing it outside, I'm cool to just stay in my nice home and write about what's happening from here. That's okay with me. As much as I probably do need to get some sun, but I will do that in the breaks from writing things.
Yes. Austin brings up IO Adventures coming back, which, yeah, I'm assuming it is. I didn't actually see anything that confirmed that, but it makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that this was necessarily the right time to bring back any form of IO in-person activity, especially seeing as obviously Google has kind of justifiably caught some flack for making employees start coming back to work. Maybe that wasn't the best timing for that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think this year, I know like everyone was kind of hoping this would be the year where we get normal events again, but the COVID spikes are throwing a wrench in everything, and they still are. And it's really important to remember that even though we have vaccines for COVID now, and a lot of people are vaccinated, most young children still can't. And also people who are not in the US or another equally developed country. And some of those people who would go to IO probably have young children. So it's still not really, we're not still really there yet, probably. So yeah, maybe next year. But again, as long as they keep doing it outside, I won't shed a tear if it's online. Or do it outside, but have like all the important stuff indoors. You can do that. That's like Disney World. Do what Disney World does. Just if all there is just making me walk from one building to the other, I'll accept that. Yeah. So I have fun stuff.
Let's see. I'm going through their registration process right now, which I'm not really sure what the purpose of this even is, but hey, why not?
Yeah, I guess I should. I'll do that later so I get the emails.
Well,
while you're doing that,
I wanted to see if they had something where there is any sort of attendance mentioned, but I'm getting the impression that this really isn't attendance. I still think that they're just using the park for filming, but not actually much else.
Yeah, probably. Dishwasher kicked up.
Oh, and they had that same stupid question from previous years. If you could ask Sundar one question about the future of technology, what would it be? No.
When will you pay taxes, sir?
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, actually, that's a good one. When will Google pay its taxes?
Mr. Sundar, can you possibly explain why I don't have affordable health care? And do you think that might be because rich people keep dumping all their money offshore? Could that possibly be it, Mr. Sundar?
Yeah.
Also, all the wars we're doing, but I won't blame him for that. I don't think he's in charge of that department. Well, I take that back. I believe Google got in some hot water for making software for like military drones, so he might actually be partially in that department. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of fair.
Yeah. So, in other news, I'll put this in. Can I put links in the YouTube chat? Will you grant me? Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. Put one in there anyway as protest.
Mostly because I don't want to go through figuring out or go like dig into their settings to do that.
I'll put it in. I'll put it in RambleCast, and Cody can put the link in the chat. But
yeah.
My review of the Galaxy S22 is finally up, and it's a phone.
It is. I wasn't sure.
It is. It was really funny to me because this is basically the third time I've used almost the exact same phone. Because I bought my S21 at launch last year. That's been like my personal phone for the past year. And then I think in January or February, I reviewed the S21 Fan Edition, which is almost the same phone. And then I reviewed this, which is, again, almost the same phone as the S21, which itself was not really that different from the S20. So Samsung's not really changing anything on their lower end, which, like, I get. Like, I don't know realistically what else you can put in a phone that needs to be like $800 besides longer updates, and they are kind of doing that now. Like, you probably can't put like the giant telephoto lens on the regular size smartphone that needs to be $800. But like, there's a lot more I think they could have done with this phone. Like, the cameras are basically the same, which in turn were kind of the same as last year. The display is the phone's actually a little bit smaller. They made it just ever so slightly smaller this year, which I like.
Shaving down those millimeters.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's like 0.2 inches or something. Like, it's not really anything, but still not the S10e revival of my dreams. But like, not really doing a lot. And honestly, what the changes they are doing, I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, they brought back the glass back, because my S21, I have a case on it, but it has a plastic back, which I kind of like because plastic is generally less heavy than glass. And it's also like more durable for the handful of times I don't have a case on my phone. But they went back to glass for this one, which I'm kind of iffy about. And of course, there's still no headphone jack. They ripped that out. I think that was the S20, and still no micro SD card slot that they ripped out last year. That's not back. So not really changing a lot, and they're not. Like, I think at the very least, like, if they brought those back, that would be a positive change they could do and wouldn't really cost much more. But they're not doing that, so it's fine. It's a phone. Like, if my phone spontaneously combust right now, I'd probably just get this. But it's not worth upgrading to if you bought last year's phone or whatever.
Harsh.
Yeah.
No, it's. I would like to get one. If AT&T and Samsung will let me.
Samsung makes okay phones. Yeah, some of their software can still be weird, but they know they can build a pretty nice phone sometimes. And when they're not doing a glass back and making me feel sad, but yeah, I'm happy with my S20. I mean, I've still got the S22, but it's not technically mine. It's XDA, so I'm gonna keep using my phone that I paid for. And yeah, so it's a phone.
Hey David, I just realized I did forget to spam the link into the RambleCast chat room. But yes, we are live. Yeah, so it's funny to me because this is the year that I feel like Samsung kind of whether intentionally or otherwise, kind of communicated, hey, we don't really care if people upgrade from the S21 to the S22, but we really want to get people into our ecosystem. So they made really, really incredible trade-in offers to get an S22 as like your first phone, but they didn't I feel like they didn't push as hard to get people to upgrade, which it's certainly good in a multitude of ways. I mean, that's preventing a lot of waste and so on, but it's kind of interesting because that's not really been their historical stance.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a difficult subject to talk about because the summary of what I've just spent 10 minutes saying was I kind of wish they did things differently, but also there's the part where it's like we don't need yearly phone upgrades anymore, guys. Like or like I don't need my phone to change for the sake of change because that's stupid too. But
Yeah.
I how much is that headphone jack going to cost Samsung? Like realistically, that's a couple cents probably. Just put it back in, please. And definitely, it is interesting that this year. I know they kind of do this every year to an extent, but this year especially, it felt like all of the attention was on the Ultra. And I know why, because there's pent up demand for a new Note phone, and it's a new Note phone. But that seems to be where all the attention went, in both product design and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I don't need them to redesign their phone every year. That's kind of unnecessary, and I think it's fine the way it is. But there's stuff they could change, like bringing back the stuff they removed, or I don't know, give me a shitty macro camera, Samsung. Like I love me a terrible smartphone macro camera. I know it's bad, but I still want it. You toss one of those in. Those go in their $100 phones. They can do that. But yeah, so they did that. Samsung also has a new. They're doing a Galaxy A event tomorrow, actually, where they're going to talk about some new budget phones. So that will happen. But yeah, if it's so that'll be a thing tomorrow that people can look forward to, I guess.
Yeah. Though to be fair, how many people? Well, okay. I feel mean for saying this, maybe, but how many people in the tech circles really care about those phones?
Tech circles, not a whole lot. Regular people,
Exactly.
yeah. Like I don't know if it was the A50 or the A50. I think it was the A51. Or yeah, I think it was A51 where Samsung said that the year that phone came out, it was their best-selling phone, like out of everything they sell. So that product line is doing pretty well for them, because it's like their Pixel A series. It's their $400 phone that still has most of the things people want in a flagship phone, just with the slightly worse chipset and the slightly worse cameras,
Yeah.
but
So
like half the price. So
I don't have anything against those phones per se. It's just, and it occurs to me I should probably say it's not so much that the tech circles are necessarily uninterested in this phone. It's just more, this is the phone that you probably recommend to your neighbor, your aunt, your familial relation, for which you think, yeah, this is a person who doesn't really care what phone they have, so let's get them the cheap one. Like that's the circle that's likely to buy this phone, at least with a tech association. But yeah, it's the phone that's going to sit at a carrier and be quote unquote like free with contract kind of deal.
yeah, I will say, like I reviewed I have it actually over here. Yeah, I have the A52. I reviewed that when it came out. It was pretty good. Like Samsung's really, I think, the only option for a budget phone in the or mid-range budget phone in the US that isn't just complete unusable garbage. Like they're not the best. Like I'm sure over in Europe, like Xiaomi and Realme are kicking its ass, but we don't get very many good choices here in America. You're either buying that or like an iPhone SE.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, but again, like all the leaks that came out said they're like ripping the headphone jack out of that too. So that's great. So,
Yeah.
I just hate it.
I don't know. My feelings towards these phones are I don't know. I'm feeling so ambivalent about phones right now.
I know it's new glass rectangle guys get excited. New glass rectangles dropping. But
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're just in that stage where everything that's getting announced feels like the thing that got announced last year and the year before and the year before that. Like we're definitely in that lull where the technology has not appreciably improved to really change anything. Like we now have under display fingerprint readers. That was the thing to be excited for a few years, and now we have them. Like at this stage, the only thing we're waiting for is for every phone to use the same basic, usually ultrasonic technology, so that it's no longer a question. We have in-display cameras, which suck, and we know that they're going to suck for a while, so we're kind of hoping nobody uses them. But I don't know, like every phone coming out, it just seems like it's sort of like when you go to a restaurant that lets you like tick boxes to say here's what you want. I feel like every phone coming out is chosen from the same menu. They just have different boxes ticked.
yeah, I will say some of the camera stuff in the really high end smartphones are cool, and I wish I could try them, but they're only ever on the giant, massive phones, and I can't use those. I hate them. Like the phone I have right now is honestly still too big, but no one makes small phones anymore, so I have to live with that. Like, makes me sad.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I'm still okay with the big phones, but
Austin said I'm fine with phones being boring, and I don't see that changing ever again. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like cars for me, where if I get a new car, I'm gonna be like excited because if I'm replacing it, the last car was probably bad, but I just need them to do their thing. I don't need them to be fancy.
as a tech journalist, how dare you say that?
I know I'm so boring.
But
I'm honestly, if Samsung, if a Galaxy Fold 3 didn't cost my entire rent for a month, I would buy one of those to try them because that seems neat.
yep.
But I know exactly what's going to happen if I bought one of those, which is I'm going to buy it and I'm going to use it as my main phone for like 2 weeks. And then I will just go back to my normal boring phone because that's smaller and has better battery and is waterproof and everything else. And then I'll just use the Z Fold around the house like my 3DS that doesn't ever leave.
Well, seeing as I only ever seem to use my phones around the house these days, that's a thing. But, well, okay, so what I'm getting at with my criticism, and I want to come back to the camera thing in a second, but what I'm kind of getting at is we definitely do still get new technology in phones. We're still seeing new sensors, new types of features. You could point to when NFC was happening. I honestly, I know so many people didn't care about it, but I honestly thought NFC was one of the coolest things that was being added to phones.
Okay, you know what? This will derail you for like 10 seconds.
Sure.
You know what's hilarious is I was writing about Motorola's new garbage budget phones,
Yeah.
they're still not putting NFC on their cheap phones in the US. Like,
Oh my god.
I know. I don't know why. Like, you can't possibly be saving any appreciable amount of money doing that. And it's not like they can like upsell you to a better Motorola phone. Like, people are just gonna buy something else if they really want tap to pay.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So yeah, anyway, this the trend right now with phones and tech is they're going through kind of the classic talk cycle of the TikTok. I do hate that term just because it's so awkward to try to parse it out like that, but you know, they're refining the thing that's there, and that makes the phones boring. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, it feels like there's less to think about or ask questions about. I mean, folding phones have now been a thing for 3 years, kind of, 2.5, and that's probably one of the most recent exciting-ish things, and we're kind of just stuck waiting for more. You know, it's nothing against it. I still think it makes for better phones when they have more maturity cycle built into them, but it also just makes it less interesting to talk about the latest thing when there really isn't anything in the latest thing. Though, as you mentioned with the cameras, I feel like the hardware for cameras, I was really excited for the hardware when what we were thinking was going to come to the Pixel was going to be Samsung's, the ISOCELL camera that was like 100 and some pixels. At that time I was excited for it because the prospect of like the quad mirror sensor and various other things like that. I wanted to see what they could do with it. And while they've definitely done some neat stuff with the sensor they put in the Pixel 6 Pro, they did interesting things with the S22 sensor. The thing is, they're not doing a lot of the cool stuff that I know they can do. And so that also leaves me just kind of, nah. I want to see more. I want to see cooler stuff happening, and I'm not seeing it. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of coming down on this. It's I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just, I don't know. I want to see somebody pop up and just say, hey, we got something stupidly cool here.
I'm just really tired of things being removed, counting as like changes. That's what I was like. It absolutely, like, I know Samsung's done market research, and I'm sure they have an exact percentage of how many people use the headphone jack on their last phone. Like, I'm absolutely certain of it. But like, it is just absolutely infuriating to me that if like I pick up this like $100 budget Samsung phone next to me that I reviewed last year, it has several things my $800 phone does not. And like that increases when you compare it to $100 phones from other countries, right? Like, I got a Nokia feature phone a couple weeks ago, just as like a, you know, just for fun, and also to have something that isn't a smartphone, where when I take my dog on walks, I can you know, still have contact with people if absolutely needed, but I don't want Slack on it. But and that phone has FM radio, which like every carrier in the US successfully bullied phone manufacturers into dropping. So like, again, there's like a lot of stuff they could be adding that either doesn't increase the cost at all, or it's just a very marginal increase that they're just not doing, and that kind of annoys me. And then, you know, then we get the classic, you know, no charger in the box, no nothing, because it's better for the environment. Never mind the fact that we're making phones every year when we don't really need to, which is worse. But there's no charger. We did it. Problem solved.
Okay, I
Climate change has ceased.
I will argue the yearly release cycle is perfectly fine as long as people don't feel the need for the yearly upgrade cycle. Because look, I see nothing wrong with the company popping up and saying, oh hey, by the way, yeah, we released a phone last year, we have made some improvements this year, should you upgrade? No, just like, are you due for an upgrade, or did you recently break your phone? Okay, yeah, go ahead, buy our newest phone, please. That's the one we'd rather have you buy than the one that's already a year old. So I think there's validity to that. There's no reason not to produce good phones as long as you can support them. Everybody. But yeah, it makes sense. Go ahead, please produce new phones. But customers don't need to upgrade them as often. I mean, yes, I happen to have 4 generations of Pixel phones sitting next to me, but the one I'm using is the one that is actually no longer even supported. That's the one my SIM card is in, and yes, I probably should actually commit to moving that forward. But yeah, I don't think that upgrades are that vital in terms of people's buying habits. People do it because they want to.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm just annoyed.
I will agree though, it kind of sucks that their idea of doing upgrades sometimes actually does involve removing something that people clearly want.
Right.
I mean,
seriously. And again, the $800 phone should have everything the $100 phone does. Like, there are no like luxury cars without brakes, right? Like,
hold on, let me think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are race cars where I think that their concept of brakes is a little stretched.
Those are barely cars.
Exactly.
Those are more just like utilities.
Okay, but you say luxury cars. Maybe one person's definition of luxury is different from somebody else's.
That's true. And, I guess it also changes based on, like, the company who made the car. Because, like, my car, I can stop at stop signs. But people with the Tesla can't.
Oh, jeez.
I had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Fuck Elon Musk. He's being a...
Okay, but he's not the reason that the cars weren't stopping at stop signs reliably.
That's true, but he's encouraging everyone to use the thing that can't stop at stop signs.
Well, okay, fine. But still,
So, speaking of things, the Corbin ponders which laptop to spend too much money on quest has ended. I have bought a Surface Laptop 4. I gotta turn my fuzzy thing off now. It's getting confused. Where? How do I turn this off? Select background? None. Great. Okay. This is my laptop. Yay. I didn't want the black one, but this is the only one they had in the hardware I wanted. Microsoft's SKUs are kind of insane. They have some color options with some CPUs. They have some color options with other ones. It's not. I almost bought the one that's fabric on the keyboard, which I'm sure feels great. But I'm not confident that wouldn't just become gross after a while. But yep, I do have it. Oh, there we go. There it goes. So I've had this for a couple days, and it's shockingly nice. I did not think I would enjoy a Windows laptop this much, but actually, pretty shortly after we did the last RambleCast, I finally figured out why Windows 11 would not install on my Dell XPS, so I could actually try that. So I wanted to try it before choosing what to buy. And Windows 11 it's fine now. It's it's still closed source. It's still sending analytics data to Microsoft, even though I turned all of it off. And I know that because NextDNS is blocking it. And there's still some apps that are not scaled correctly for high DPI, and there's still some legacy cruft. They've honestly removed more of it than I thought they would in Windows 11. Like, they're getting rid of the media player, Windows Media Player, that has just not been touched since like Vista, I think. Because they kept trying to replace it with like newer music apps that had like half the functionality, and they're finally updating those to be feature comparable to the old media player. So now the new app is just media player, and I think the old app might be gone already. But yes, they're doing that. They actually have like updates to the file manager, which again they hadn't done since 7 really. Windows 10 they just kind of made it white and called it a day. Yeah, there's more changes across the board than I thought there would be. Like even they even updated Notepad. Like it's got like some buttons now. Like it's yeah, so like I can tolerate using it now. It's pretty, there's still bits that they're still updating. Like I saw the volume indicator, like when you press the volume buttons on the keyboard and it shows the volume, that's still got like the boxy Windows 8 Windows 10 look. I saw they just changed that in the preview builds to match the rest of the system. So they're still going through it, and they're still updating stuff, but it is already a lot better than all of Windows 10. Windows 10 was just an absolute mess.
So well, you know me, I'm no fan of Windows in particular. I have to ask. Well, before I get to anything else, I have to ask. Have they at least updated Notepad to now support RTF? Or is it still just raw text?
Probably not. I think it's just text. Yeah.
This is something Apple has had in their text edit app since I started using a Mac. Some part of me, it just kills me a little inside that Notepad. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the Notepad focuses on text format, but at this point, guys, get some RTF action in there. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they don't want to eat into Microsoft Office sales.
Yeah, maybe. And I know they're kind of moving some stuff to Edge. Like Edge is like the default PDF app on Windows. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing there, but like I honestly can't tell you the last time I needed to open an RTF file. So, but yeah, like it's fine. Again, it's still Windows. It's still a lot of legacy cruft. It's still probably sending way too much data about me to Microsoft. There are a few apps that like the high DPI scaling is still iffy. Audacity doesn't seem to be optimized for that, so when I use Audacity it's a little bit blurry. That's not great. And yeah, but like it's better. I can tolerate using it. I'll probably if I can get it running. I don't know if my computer has TPM2 or not, like my desktop, but if it does, I'll probably switch that to in the near future, because I don't like my laptop being on a different thing than my desktop. That makes my brain hurt.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I actually don't have something to comment on there. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to try Windows 11 just to see it, and to try using it, obviously. But Mac user, I don't actually have a way to do that without having to pay for a full license, and I'm not really interested in doing that just to try something out. And at this stage, I don't know how Windows piracy really works out, but I don't feel motivated enough to try.
You mean like pirating Windows itself?
Yeah.
So much. So honestly, you can install, like I did this on my XPS while I was trying it out. If you just install Windows, it will eventually put a little message on your on, like that's just floating that says you haven't registered Windows.
Yeah, I remember that from
Yeah.
many years ago.
But I mean, you can still use it fully, and there's a couple like personalization features that you can't mess with, but yeah, it's not too difficult, and I think like Windows 7 keys and everything still work. So, you know, you find one of those, that's probably fine. I don't know. But yeah, I will say with this laptop, it feels like I have most of the advantages of like Apple's hardware, or at least like a modern laptop experience, because like the touchpad on this is really good. I know someone who has like one of these for work and a MacBook, and he says it's about the same. Although Apple has a much larger trackpad. The one on here is it's big, but it's not. Oh, it's trying to blur me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not baby size like most, but it's also not the gigantic. I like dinner plate sized surface.
Yeah, but it's got, you know, nice, relatively big glass touchpad. The keyboard is really nice. Again, I don't try a lot of laptops, so I don't know where the keyboard rankings are, but this one's pretty nice. Display is pretty good. It's a 3:2 aspect ratio, so this is a little bit bigger than my XPS, which I didn't really want to do, but it is more room for activities, as they say. It's still a little bit of a struggle to write an article on one of these in split screen, like if I have WordPress on one side and whatever I'm writing about on the other. It's still not super fun on a laptop, but it's workable. I was worried about how I was like the main reason I'm doing this is so I can use Adobe apps again without dual booting or anything like that. So I was kind of a little bit worried about Adobe performance, because the Adobe Windows apps are horrific. I don't know if they're like better on Mac with roughly the same hardware. Like, I don't know if they're just written better on Mac, but the Windows apps are so slow, and they're like, again, like it's also like Adobe's like custom interface stuff. So like parts of it are native controls and parts of it are like themed, whatever.
Yeah, but that's a thing that very much happens on Mac now too.
Yeah,
there is so much of a bizarre mix where you can tell Adobe wanted to have full control over something, and then because of it, either rules that Apple has imposed, or in some cases because something just works better if you use the native thing, Adobe clearly was like, yeah, we'll just mix and match, and every once in a while, like, you might have to use one screen that changes some settings, and then it hands it off to the next like native screen to do a thing. So it's funky and weird, which is pretty much how I describe almost all of Adobe software. Funky and weird.
Yeah. So I was worried about that because I couldn't really find anyone using Photoshop or Lightroom on this exact model, and the Windows versions being what they was, I was kind of freaked out. And I also had tried to install them on my XPS 13, and it was not good. I don't know if it was the 8 gigs of RAM in that laptop or not. Like, maybe it just needed more, and it would have been fine. But like, Lightroom was way more responsive on my Tab S6 than that. Like, and I know it's like it's kind of, yeah, I know there's some shared code there, but still, that's really rough.
Well, for what it's worth, and I could be wrong on this, but I am like 80 some percent certain that the thing that slows down Lightroom has absolutely nothing to do with their actual image processing capabilities. I think it's entirely the UI. And the UI running on your tablet is a different one. It's built from a completely different code base. So
yeah,
I'd be pretty willing to bet that's the difference.
Wouldn't shock me in the slightest, but yeah, like on here, you know, I got Photoshop and Lightroom on here, and Photoshop still takes a good 10 seconds to start up, but once it's started up, it's pretty fast. The only time I noticed it was struggling was when I tried doing content aware fill on like large portions of an image. And that's when it started to freak out, and like Spotify running in the background would start to skip. But it's fine besides that, and Lightroom seems okay. I haven't done a lot of editing on here yet, but it seems fine. And I was worried about that because Microsoft sells this with I think they do a Ryzen 5 and a Core i5 and a Ryzen 7 and Core i7. And I got the Ryzen 5 over the Core i5, supposedly because it has better battery life, like not you know, pretty big battery difference, but the single core performance is worse, which it seemed like is an issue for Adobe apps from what I read. Like they really want that strong single core performance, or just like higher clock speeds on cores in general. And I saw a couple of things that they had like worked with Intel in the past to get some Intel optimizations in there. So I was like, I want the better battery life, but this seems like not the good option. But I mean, it seems fine. Maybe it would be way faster if I bought the Core i5, but this is fine. So yeah, I mean, moderately happy with this. It also like almost kind of sort of runs games. That's nice. The integrated graphics on this baby Ryzen 5 are not great, but it's workable. But yeah, I got, you know, all the Adobe apps on here. I've got Steam. I'm still figuring out good development workflows for stuff on Windows. Like I usually use Visual Studio Code, and that's obviously on Windows, but the process for setting up Git and everything is different. Microsoft does have a new Windows terminal now, which is it's on Windows 10 too, but it combines like all of their command line stuff on Windows. So, and it's tabs. So you can have like a tab of PowerShell and a tab of the older DOS command line and a tab for other stuff. You can set profiles and things. It's kind of nice. And yeah, so still need to find a couple alternatives for Linux stuff I need. Like there's a really nice Linux application made by Linux Mint called Warpinator, and it's really good local network file sharing. So it's like AirDrop sort of, but initially made for Linux, and then someone made a Android app, and that's what I've been using to like quickly get files from a phone to a computer. And there's another client someone made for Windows, but it looks really bad. So I need to find something else there. And of course, there's the Linux subsystem, which I hadn't tried the new version of that they rewrote like 2 years ago, I think.
I've been wondering if that's good. I don't want to say any good, but like just good in general.
It seems good. I haven't done a lot with it yet, and like even what I do is, if it can't do what I need it to do, there's a really big issue somewhere. Like I'm not doing anything crazy, but like the new Linux subsystem, it's basically just a hypervisor. And you know, like the original implementation, they were trying to like write the Linux kernel as like a Windows service. Like it was running as like it wasn't being virtualized. which was kind of neat, but made like Docker not work and a lot of other things that need like an actual Linux kernel. So they threw that out. Now it's just a hypervisor VM, but it's a really nice hypervisor VM that can talk. That I can just like open it in any folder I want on my Windows file system and manage files that way. I was using it a little bit because I was trying to update Nexus tools to fix a bug, and I could just compile it for Linux and run it, and then work on it in Windows, and then switch over to my Linux tab in the terminal and compile it again and run it. It was fine. So it's pretty cool. I think you could. There's still a couple things that like are annoying to do. Like I think it still can't talk to USB devices really. So like you can't really do like the Linux version of ADB or something.
Yikes.
Not that, yeah. So I think there's some workarounds there, but like at that point you just need to fire up VirtualBox or something.
It's funny because that's so much. Well, like half of the times that I would set up, or not set up, but like use a live CD or something like that just to run Linux on a computer for a while. I'd say about half of the time that I did that, it was specifically for the purposes of being able to get like accessing some other accessory or tool or something that for whatever reason I didn't or couldn't use Windows with it. So
yeah, it's definitely, the focus is definitely still on like development stuff.
Yeah.
They are doing an interesting thing where they have a new feature there. I don't know if it's like fully rolled out yet, but they have an add-on to it called WSLG, which basically turns it into exactly how the Linux layer on Chrome OS works. So when you install an app, like a GUI app in the subsystem, it actually adds it to your start menu, and then you can open it and it shows up as just like another window alongside all your other applications, which is kind of cool. But I don't think there's a single GUI Linux app I need that isn't also on Windows, so I haven't had a reason to use that yet.
So basically it's VMware Fusion, but
yeah, but I probably running better if you don't need USB
at this point. Yeah. It's funny because when I hear about these features, this one in particular, all it screams to me is sort of we built this for developers, not for users. Because to me, like years ago, I would have really liked to be able to run something exactly like that, and let's say build a server application, run it in a Linux environment on the same computer just for convenience sake, and that's it. I wanted to be able to test it and run it on a Linux environment because that's where the server application would ultimately run. I didn't need to use a bunch of Linux applications. I just needed to be able to test in an environment closer to where something was going to run ultimately.
Right.
I still wanted to build everything on the Windows side. I still wanted to develop everything using all the Windows tools that existed. Obviously, not all of that is the same anymore, but yeah, that would have been really super convenient and ideal years ago for me. Now I don't care.
Yeah. So yeah, it's nice to have. I'll probably keep messing with it, but again, like most of the stuff I need is just on normal Windows, or it's like it's just better to use the Windows version. Like I already knew how Git in Linux works, so I was like, should I just like use Git in the Linux side? Like, is that fine? But then it's like, well, now you need to have this like low resource VM, but still a VM running anytime I want to do Git operations. Like, okay, I probably just need to learn how to set it up on Windows.
Yeah.
that's kind of silly.
Actually, on Windows, does it still require? I don't know if it ever technically required it, but does it still kind of require Sigwin?
No.
Okay.
No, there are a couple of different ways to do it. Like there's a package manager for Windows called Chocolatey that's kind of like APT or whatever the thing on Mac, Brew on Mac, yeah. And I really don't like using it. And I saw Git was available in there, but it's more like a wrapper for other stuff. The only thing I like have to get through that is the Dart SDK. I think that's the only way Google distributes the Dart SDK on Windows. But yeah, no, I mean Git is just like I just downloaded it from the Git website and went through the setup, and they had like way too many checkboxes. I just left them all as they were, and then I got Git. I did have to look up how to make a SSH key on Windows and add it to that, because that's completely different. But yeah, it's fine, and I can run Git. It all works.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to play with Windows again, just to either be more familiar with it or reaffirm that I'm not interested in messing with it.
Right. Check on the other side of the fence real quick.
Yeah, I want to see state of affairs.
Right.
Just like I want to have an iPhone handy so I can try things on there once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't see myself particularly going back to it, though. You know, if a job calls for it, that might be a thing again.
Yeah.
Speaking of, just because it's funny, I just today, actually, this was a few hours ago, I got an email clearly kind of cold calling for AWS developers. I thought that was...
Oh, they're desperate.
I kind of honestly think they might be, because this was a clear like recruiter emailing me saying, "Hey, we saw your skill set." Clearly did not actually see skill set. They didn't look at all. They, I think, just searched for people who are developers, and they saw mine.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, let's email them. And it like the email actually says, let's talk about the different kinds of positions you might take at working with AWS or for a whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean. But yeah, it was a very distinctive like, we don't know what we're contacting you for, but hey, maybe you're interested. Please apply.
They just checked, have you ever used Stack Overflow? Okay, great. You're getting an email today.
Probably.
Yeah. I wonder what's the bathroom policy at AWS? Do you have to piss in a water bottle there too, or do they give you actual bathroom breaks?
I believe you technically have to. I think you have to write a new way for people to abuse the spin up policy on AWS, so that hackers have a means of like getting into people's accounts, spinning up like as many instances as possible to mine crypto, and that way AWS has an excuse to charge account owners a shitload of money for presumably letting their passwords leak. Every exploit that you build, you get a bathroom break.
Okay, that seems fair. Yeah. But yeah, so again, like Windows 11, it's fine. If I didn't have to, I'd go back to KDE Neon because I really like where it is now. But this is acceptable. I don't hate using this computer, which I thought would be the inevitable outcome of purchasing any laptop, because Windows is bad, and I didn't really want to switch to the Apple ecosystem, and another Linux computer doesn't solve my problem. So pleasantly surprised. I don't hate everything right now, and I will say the laptop, the one thing that seems to be a continued issue with Microsoft's computers is the ports. The laptop is okay. My laptop here has one Type A one Type C and a headphone jack, and then I get their wackadoodle Surface connector on the other side. That is like kind of like it's like a data bus thing. I can get adapters for it if I need to, but they're very insistent on still using that Surface plug, even though every review I saw for this was screaming at them to support Thunderbolt instead.
Yeah.
That is like one technical downgrade, is that my XPS 13 does have Thunderbolt and this does not. I have never used Thunderbolt ever. It is never come up.
Yeah,
The closest I've gone to using Thunderbolt is using like USB Type C displays, but that's just DisplayPort. I don't need Thunderbolt bus for that.
So I want to know why, and I know I'm going to say this broadly. It obviously doesn't apply 100%, but I want to know why companies hate ports. Why do companies hate putting the ports on that people actually want? I mean, obviously I'm thinking of Apple a little bit more in this story, but it applies to everybody. The Mac Studio came out and everyone immediately goes, "Oh my god, Apple put USB-A ports into a computer. What's happening? Are they backpedaling?" And the reason people are interested in this is because, holy crap, somebody in the world wants USB-A ports still. It's a thing. And then I look at the MacBook Pro and it's like, guys, you have room. Maybe not a ton, but you have room. You could have put one in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I have Type A again. I like having just one Type A, whenever I need to use a flash drive or something and I don't have my dongles handy. But I would really like more Type Cs. That would be cool. If I ever go to like an event or something, I might need to buy a better dongle.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I have any like because I've never had to buy one of those like USB-C adapters that breaks out into like 5 different ports. That's never come up. But this I'm down to one Type C on this computer, which again, like the amount of times I've used more than one Type C port at once. That wasn't not including charging, because the charging is on their Surface connector thing. It's not high. Because again, like I write articles online for a living. I'm not, using a lot of connected devices, except on my desktop. I have like 15 things plugged in all the time, but that's because it's a desktop. It's doing a lot more things.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't need like my speakers plugged in all the time on this computer.
I don't know. I just. Again,
I agree it should be there. Again, for the same reason that my $800 phone should have an SD card slot.
Yes.
Just because things that are cheaper have that. And I know it's a little bit more fuzzy for laptops because a lot of them like actually do not have the physical room for like the height of a full-size USB port or something. Like you can put more there's room for Type C's on here, I see. You didn't have to put your silly adapter that you convinced all your business customers to buy docks for.
Yeah,
that's not my problem.
Yeah, and I mean that to date, I look at my new MacBook Pro and it's like, guys, I know you technically added a dedicated power port and you added an HDMI out. Technically, these are things that you added, but you also took away one of the USB-C ports. I used all 4 USB-C ports many times, and I'll tell you right now, I am using the power input, so yes, technically I am at equivalency because of that. Because previously I was just plugging in power through its own cable, there wasn't anything else passing in, so I am technically port neutral still. But I don't use that HDMI port. I know there are circumstances where I could, but it doesn't transmit as much data, and it doesn't work quite right with my ultra wide. So I don't want to use that port. I want to keep using the display port because it worked better. Like this doesn't work as well. So
I was briefly looking at Microsoft's website to see how much they want for the dongle that uses their stupid port, and I saw they do make a USB-C to audio adapter. I think for their I think that's for the Surface Duo probably. I don't remember if all of those have headphone jacks, but yeah. Yeah, they sell mouse. Oh yeah, Surface Dock. Oh dear. The Surface Dock 2, which is very much intended like for like a desktop dock, not like a dongle.
oh yeah, that's super terrible shape and design for
that's
portability.
yeah, $260. It's a lot of money.
That's comical money. But yeah.
Now, yeah, and I lived this life. I had the Surface Pro 2 with its dock, and that was my desktop computer. And
it's a really big dock. Why is it so large?
I think it says it's got a 199 watt power supply in it.
Oh, actually, okay, that kind of makes sense, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on a desk, it probably doesn't matter. But yeah, it is silly. Oh, here we go. They have a travel hub that is $80. What does this have on it?
I guess technically with the port selection, I mean, I'm counting, what is that, 8 ports? Yeah. Well, assuming that one at the end is also a port, I can't quite tell. But yeah, at 8 ports, that's maybe not that bad. But still, well, if it's power supply plus 8 ports, I can kind of see that, but I'm still iffy on this.
Yeah. Yeah, so
and they have, sorry, 10 ports. They have 2 on the other side. So it's 4 USB-C ports, 2 on each of the long sides, 2 USB-A, headphone jack, RJ45. I'm assuming that's a power connector. I'm not quite sure what that round one is, but it's got to be power output. What is that actually?
Are you looking at the dock 2?
Yeah. Is that
what are you looking at, the round one on the left side? I think that's it's not power because
is that optical audio maybe?
Let's look at the tech specs. Has Surface Connect cable, 2 USB-C front, 2 USB-C back.
Oh, okay. So the thing at the end that I thought was a port, that's a security lock, the Kensington.
Okay.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I guess just... Wait. Okay.
I think that's gotta be the lock, because it says lock in the specs.
Well, the round thing isn't. It's the... If you look at the pictures of it, at the end opposite the incoming cable, there's a single rectangular hole. That's got to be the Kensington lock, because I've never seen a Kensington lock that isn't rectangular just like this, and I've never seen one that is round. So the round has to be a power cable.
Yeah, maybe. Although optical audio would be amusing, I guess.
It's the only... Well, optical audio technically is a square, but I have seen cables that are designed round. So, like, the hole is round, but the inside would plug in square, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, it's got to be the Surface Connect cable thing. Or something. What? I don't know. I admit, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mystery. Well, yeah. It looks like they don't sell like a portable dock that uses that connector. Their portable dock is just USB-C. And I can buy a USB-C adapter from anyone else and it will be cheaper. So
oh yeah. And very possibly better.
possibly even for free. Some of those accessory companies are thirsty as hell for
Yeah, they are.
anyone with any presence at all. Like I know someone who is not like a writer or anything.
12 Twitter followers.
I mean, I don't know how many Twitter followers she has, but like
Joking,
someone's Mobvoy was sending like up their watches to basically anyone who like interacted with them on their forums, sort of like who they deem was like OnePlus is doing, right? Where like if you're like a OnePlus fan, they will send you a phone as like product. I don't know if it was product testing. I know she got something that was like to leave an Amazon review or something, so I'm sure it was probably illegal, but some of those companies are very thirsty for any positive coverage.
Yeah. Well, hey, I won't totally deny that there is some legitimacy to the here, we'll give you something for free if you review it. I have no objection to companies doing that.
No, that's fine.
It gets a little iffier if it's like, we'll give you something for free if you would leave a positive review. Maybe not.
And that's kind of what it always turns into. So I understand when stores have like a hard block on that. Like Amazon is supposed to, but they kind of weren't for a while.
Oh, Amazon is not good at enforcing it, even when, even if they claim they are.
Well, they are, but I'm almost certain it's just like a reason to promote their Amazon Basic stuff instead.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they're like, all right, great, no more competition from Aki. We can sell our terrible cables.
Yeah. There was, you know what? Just I don't know if I want to dig this up. I was listening to a podcast from a few years back, and I guess the New York Times, I think it was New York Times, came out with this poll, and I guess it was this whole article leading into it, but it wasn't exactly a poll, it was kind of a quiz, if you want to say that. But it basically asked the question, if out of this list of companies, which ones would you be, or which one would you most be okay with seeing just disappear tomorrow? Like, no specific way, like the company doesn't necessarily need to be destroyed or shut down against its will or whatever, just like, which company would you be okay with seeing disappear tomorrow? And on that list was Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. I think it was just 5.
Mm-hmm. So the big tech companies.
Yeah, it's basically the biggest tech companies that have a user-facing element. Because, like, you know, obviously, I'd be perfectly okay if somebody said, "Oh, let's kill off Oracle tomorrow. Please, I'm begging you."
Like you're not getting like the really evil companies that kind of just like hang out on the back end and don't do any marketing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like ExxonMobil or
it definitely tech companies.
Yeah. Pick any military industrial complex, you know.
Well, or
do we really need do we really need Boeing? Like, they can't even build a plane that doesn't blow up anymore. What do we need them for?
Oh,
Europe builds better planes than us now.
Not touching that one. Or HP. Show of hands. Who feels that we need HP?
Yeah,
or
let's get HP. My HP printer is sitting right here. I will say within its hearing distance, I would be perfectly okay with HP just being wiped off the face of this earth.
I feel like I get the sense that you have malicious intent with that one, but
no. I mean, like, I've used one HP laptop in recent history. It was fine. I kind of like the keyboard on it, but I feel like they're not really a net positive for the human race. I think they can just quietly fade out.
I think they have quietly faded out.
I wish they would, but I went to Target to buy a printer, and that was all they had.
Yeah. sometimes I think that's not a mistake. Well, obviously it was a mistake buying it, but I don't think it was a mistake that it's the only one there. Anyway, mildly curious, because that list was ranked. How would you rank it? Again, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon. Which, in order of first to die to last to die, which one would you kill first? Which would you kill last?
I would Facebook number one.
That's everyone's number one.
Yeah, let's just put that out there. I think like out of all the big tech, like I don't like any of these companies. Like they all do things I really don't like. They all, to a certain extent, have a business that relies on misusing private information. So I don't really enjoy any of them existing. But I feel like out of all of those, Facebook has the least value add to society. Like at least my Android phone, like it tells me how to drive from one place to the other. So there's that, you know. Facebook, what has Facebook done? Right? They made Trump president.
They bought Oculus.
Yeah, they bought Oculus. They didn't even make it.
Yeah.
So Facebook can go. Honestly, the other one, I guess, the other ones I would really rather just break up and then make sure there's some kind of actual law enforcement in place that does not allow them to merge back together, like what has happened with carriers, where we told AT&T to break up, and then all the bits of AT&T just went back together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably break up the rest of the companies, and you know, if some of them can't survive because they were subsidizing part of their business on other businesses, that's on them. You know, if YouTube has to shut down operations, you know, I'll be sad, but you know,
yeah,
that's fine.
And see, that's out of this entire list, it's not for any of the what people would consider to be the main businesses. It's for the side businesses that I would even consider keeping any of these companies in their exact state. Because yeah, I fully agree. Let's please, can we end Facebook? That would be fantastic. But Amazon, look, I do a lot of my shopping through there, but there are other stores I can shop through. It would kind of suck to lose Prime shipping. That would be my biggest thing. But honestly, like, imagine what happens if they shut down AWS. Like a third of the internet goes away. So that would kind of be a problem. If Microsoft went away, there's less stuff on Azure, but it's still pretty significant. And in general, I'm not super concerned with Microsoft going away, but there are things that would be lost in that process. If Google went away, look, I can live with no more Android development. Someone else will take over the mantle on that anyway. Like, that's not even a big deal. I could live with a lot of Google services going away, though, man, I would miss some Gmail in a big way. But if YouTube went away, holy crap, think about how much we're losing. Like, there's actual epic amounts of really good information, content, anything from how-to guides to just some entertaining crap. Man, if YouTube goes away, that's like actual devastation to the human race.
Yeah. If I was gonna break up Google, I think, well, YouTube itself is profitable at this point, I think, right? So they could keep on trucking. They're fine.
So my understanding is YouTube is it is profitable, but not as profitable
overly
as you think it is.
I mean, I'm shocked it's profitable at all, considering it's like free video storage for anyone, basically. But yeah, I think also Microsoft going away, that would mean GitHub goes away, and then like most software development would just cease. That might be an issue, but yeah.
Okay, so in 2021, YouTube's advertising revenue accounted for approximately 11.2% of Google's total revenue. That year, the video platform's annual ad revenues amounted to 28.84 billion US dollars. Okay, that's great, but
How much do the servers cost?
well, my question is how much, well, it's not servers, but paying out all the YouTubers and paying their staff, which includes a lot of people who have to actually watch videos to check them, let's say. At this point, they have to have one person's whole job is to just watch Logan Paul's videos and make sure he's not showing more people who committed suicide.
More dead bodies. Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, so okay, so according to one article from the Wall Street Journal, YouTube was not profitable at least as far as 2015. But I'm pretty sure they turned profitable a few years ago. I mean, they had to have. I'm certain they turned a profit at some stage, but yeah, I don't think they're as profitable as people think they are. I think they're still in the we make money, but it's still not like a killer business, so to speak. Not compared to the rest of Google. Though to be fair, Google has how many business things that they do that don't turn any profit at all, no money in any way, shape, or form. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, I have to go, so I guess I'll leave now.
All right.
Yeah. The thing I had to leave urgently for went away, but I still have way too many things to do. I hate being an adult. This sucks.
Out of curiosity, and obviously we won't say what it is due to reasons, but that thing that you have to write for tomorrow, have you actually written that yet? I know you had started. I wasn't sure if you actually wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that earlier. I have just some guides piling up. I need to have this phone review to do that I legally can't discuss. I still need to do. I still have to do taxes. It's gonna be
Me too.
Yeah. I moved, so it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, you changed states. That does.
Yeah,
God, I feel sorry.
I think TurboTax probably added 7,000 more pages for me to check doing that. But
moving states is bad enough when you technically work for companies. At least that is kind of an okay thing. If you work for yourself, as you and I do, or legally speaking, we work for ourselves. Oh my God, it's so much more hassle.
Yeah, I moved states and I changed my main source of income. So a lot of stuff needs updating. Right now I'm in the stage where I'm measuring my office area to see how much can get deducted for that. Because this is 2021 was technically the first year I paid for my own home. So yeah, so that's fun.
The measuring office space thing is funny, especially once you.
I can't wait for this to be.
We should talk about this separately later because I have a few things, a few tips, because even the measurement is not actually a very good solution for that, but that's a whole separate discussion.
And just and everything takes forever. It asked me all right, what's the square footage of your office? I'm like, great, I have a ruler, we'll figure this out. And it's what's the square footage of your home? What? I don't know.
Yeah, am I supposed to actually walk around and measure this? Do I need to get the bathroom? What?
Yeah.
The good news is they asked that question. It doesn't matter.
I know. Realistically,
it literally does not matter. It has no bearing at all on how much you get to write off. I think it's a formality because they want to make sure that you're not writing off like 100% of your space, because obviously
Right.
that wouldn't make sense. But
Yeah. The bathroom does not get used for work. Yes.
hey, some people might. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it could be a thing.
Yeah.
OnlyFans
You know,
is a
you got a really long poop to do.
thing.
You know, bring the laptop in there.
Do you exclusively do work from your bathroom?
No.
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 But yeah, we'll talk about that later. That, or my honest advice, since you just moved, if you can, just get an accountant for this year. If you can afford it, it's worth it. It makes your life so much easier for a year that you moved.
Well, I'll keep going through the same TurboTax. I hate, like, talk about companies you want to disappear. TurboTax, just, like, they make an okay product, but they charge a lot of money for it, and they're the reason this tax system is so complicated. So just erase them. Let's get rid of them.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Austin said, gotta report all those Bitcoin transactions. Yeah, you know it. Trading that all day long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just more garbage to fill out, and like I have to go back and check everything. Like I forgot that exact day I moved, so thank goodness I had that in Google Calendar still of like day I'm moving. So that's fun.
Yeah, to be fair, some of that stuff you can kind of fudge.
Yeah.
And as far as your movement date, honestly, you can almost always just look at your credit card purchases and figure it out.
Yeah, and I like everything's easy to figure out. It's just it takes forever to find all this stuff. And of course, like also at this point, I've been in North Carolina for a year. So like I think my car registration I have to do again soon. Like all the stuff that's like yearly is coming up.
Ugh.
So like yeah. So again, just terrible time for Corbin to be a adult.
Yeah.
On top of my rent going up, so that's nice. Just wins all around.
Oh, Austin brings up check local university because the accounting departments may do free tax prep. Yeah, that is very true. The one catch, I don't know how much this matters to you, but, and I'm not sure if universities will do this or not, but a lot of them will not. I'm assuming a lot of them won't do the actual filing for you.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like that is half of what I like about like either online services or an accountant. I haven't used an accountant in years, so I've just been doing it myself or with the help of a family member. But yeah, I just use online services because the filing gets done for you, and holy crap, I just want to e-file everything if I can. So yeah, that factors in for me.
Yeah, it's just a lot of time that I'd rather spend doing anything else.
Oh yeah.
And
no, taxes for
it's
me
gonna
are
be
usually a 2-day process.
Yeah.
2 whole effing days.
And it's gonna be so much money. It's gonna be a lot of money because this is the most I've ever made. Is like in that past, 2021, and which didn't get me very far because I also spent a lot of money.
Oh,
but...
that also brings up the classic question: have you been making quarterly payments?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I like my bank account is just gonna flatline after this. I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah. No, fortunately, I'm not making enough to have had to make quarterly payments, but yeah, which sucks.
Every time I'm like, I should look into this, and then I don't look into it, and then I spend thousands of dollars in for taxes. Like, oh, I should do this quarterly instead, and then it doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, because they'll hit you with late fees for not doing the quarterlies.
Yeah.
Though the thing is, I did the math one year on the late fees, and it's like, you know what? And this won't be true as you get higher in how much you pay in taxes, but if you're on the low end of it, honestly, the late fees don't add up to hardly anything. Like the amount that you could make off of interest from having that money in the bank a little longer is almost the same as your late fees. But that only applies when it's fairly low.
Yeah. So, I get to do that, but I can do that on my new laptop, so it's fine. So yeah. Well, I'll go now, but.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make
Have
fun of
fun,
tablet
everyone.
stuff then.
Oh, good. Sadly, I'll miss that, but I do enjoy that. I did almost include. I wrote about a thing about tablets, and I almost included a screenshot of the Google Home app on my Tab S6, just as like a, like visual aid, right? But I forgot I have the speaker in my bathroom still called potty speaker, and I don't really care to explain or like remove it. It's like it's too much work. I'll just do something else.
You can always Photoshop some of this stuff out.
That's a lot of work, Cody.
Yeah, I know. You have to reboot into Windows so you can use Photoshop.
Not anymore. Moving up. Okay, bye.
All right, later. Okay. Silliness over. Let's see. Austin, you followed up by saying you were forced to set up quarterly payments too because they don't take taxes out of your stipend. Yeah, that's... I fully get why quarterly taxes are a thing. I actually encourage doing quarterly taxes. Yet, I have in my life never actually paid quarterly taxes for all 4 quarters. I have a couple of, or several times I have paid like 1 quarterly tax payment. And what I've done is like I'll pay up front on the very first quarterly tax payment. I'll overpay. And then that way when it comes around to the following year, I've paid not a huge whole amount, but usually it's enough that I can say, oh yeah, I expected to make less. So, it's semi-believable. But yeah, I've never been good about it because paying quarterly tax payments, like, you're busy. Going through and calculating how much you've made over the last 3 months is a pain in the ass, and it's so not worth doing most of the time, especially since the quarterlies, if I remember, always come mid-months. So being able to calculate your quarters doesn't even always make sense. But or rather, you usually have to do kind of like extra calculations to figure out how much you should be calculating in across 4 months, but only half of 2 of those. Yeah, it's a stupid thing. Anyway, I don't like quarterly payments. They are annoying. So let's see. Now I'm not gonna get into all of the tablet stuff that could possibly be hit, but I do want to hit this one. AP covered this. I'm not sure how many others did. Oh, Austin, yeah, that's right. Yours would be fixed. That would be easy. In fact, I would, strictly speaking, if I were you, I wouldn't even do quarterlies. I know that this isn't an ideal thing to do, but I would, on the first quarterly payment, just pay for the whole year up front if it's fixed. Because that way, it's hassle out of the way. You won't have to pay a fee on anything. And again, it's just a hassle out of the way. Though I could imagine why you wouldn't want to do that. So, yeah, it varies. Anyway, I know you're sitting there right now like, no, I'd rather have that money, thanks. I'll pay it every quarter, it's cool. But yeah, so anyway, Google has promised to start getting a little bit of attention to tablets in the Play Store. It's funny to me because this is a story we have heard, I believe, 3 times in the past. It may only be twice, but I'm pretty sure it was 3 times. Back when tablets first came out, Google promised that there was going to be a sincere push for tablet support. Like any app developer that supported tablets was going to show up in higher search results. They were going to actually show like a little badge. Well, not a badge, but like apps that had tablet support were going to have a little thing on their actual detail page. It wouldn't be shown in search results, but it was going to be a thing in the detail page for the app showing that it was tablet supported, things like that. It never happened. You're running to Lowe's? All right. See you. Well, we'll see you chatting again in a little while. Anyway, so this was a neat promise. It sounded good, and then it didn't really happen. Google, I think, never actually did the badge thing with that particular attempt. But they kind of talked it up. They kind of said that they were going to do stuff, and it didn't. I know some of what they promised happened, but most of it never did. Then, it was like 2 or 3 years later, they turned around and again promised, hey, we're going to do, we care about tablets. Please, everyone, focus on tablets. And they did it again. They made more promises, most of which either didn't happen or they didn't really pan out. And then we heard the same story again in the whole like, hey, Android apps are coming to Chrome OS. Hurry up and get your apps running good on tablets. We swear this is going to be great for tablet apps, and we're going to show all kinds of attention to them. We want tablet apps so that they'll look great on Chrome OS. So here we are again. Google has promised again that they're going to show attention to tablet apps. So they are again hyping that there are over 250 million active Android tablets, foldables, and Chrome OS devices. You'll note that is 3 different categories, of which foldables make up probably a relatively small percentage of that, but I bet Chrome OS devices makes up like 95% of that list, if not higher. So I don't think Android tablets are making up a large enough portion for them to be relevant in this discussion. But they're promising again that they're going to give tablet apps basically higher preference in search results, at least when you are searching, I believe is, let's see, is that the criteria? As I skim over it, I don't see whether or not that's a thing. I'm sure it will be, but if you're searching from a phone, I imagine you'll get a unedited list. But if you're searching from Chrome OS or a tablet or presumably a foldable, they'll probably give you a list that's modified to give a little bit higher preference to tablet apps. Anyway, so this is part of their promise. They're also saying that let's see, they're going to highlight apps that are getting uninstalled because they look or perform poorly on tablets. They're going to give ratings and reviews that focus on like, is this app good or bad on tablets versus all other devices, and so on and so forth. Anyway, this feels like such deja vu. Why are we getting the same promise again and again and again? And I mean, I get it. Google is going to try to motivate developers to work on this stuff, but we still don't have good tablet experiences with most of Google's apps. I mean, obviously some of them work well. I know Gmail is supposed to do pretty well. Actually, really quick, I haven't actually looked, and it occurs to me I don't think this tablet has been... Oh, hold on. This tablet is actually still has a tiny amount of battery power left. Okay. Hooray! I did not think that this tablet, this old Nexus 9 that I have, I did not think would still have any juice left in it. Because I forgot to plug it back in like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It still starts up so slow. Or not starts up, but just running anything on this tablet is super slow. It's so weird because I have phones, obviously, that have slowed down. For some reason, tablet, no. I've never had a tablet where performance did not go absolutely horrendously slow after, like, I don't know, 3 years. Seriously, I tapped on the Gmail icon probably about 30 seconds ago. It is still trying to load. Come on. We now have a 2-panel interface, kind of. No emails have loaded yet. Oh, kind of. We got the left side column. Okay. Man, this is so slow. This is ridiculous. Like, this is embarrassingly slow. Why does the tablets always do this? Anyway, the thing is, Gmail might be fine. But it's, I think, the first app that was ever actually like a good tablet app. Whoa, wait, did it just crash? I tapped on an email. I think, oh, no, it didn't crash. What the hell? But the email disappeared? Oh, I see why. It was pulling from it was pulling from cached email, that's why. Still, I'm tapping on an email and it still hasn't loaded the email. Jesus. Oh god, this is so slow. It's why old devices... This is the real reason a lot of old devices don't get support. Okay, finally loaded. Congrats on the most basic thing. But yeah, this is too slow to take seriously. We're just gonna close that up. But yeah, as I look at Gmail, like, it has a decent tablet interface. Wait, what? Screen timed out as it was doing something else. That's awesome. Oh, but they don't have... Gmail doesn't work right with the buttons anymore. Oh man, the contrast on the navigation buttons is super bad. Wow. Okay. I'm blown away by this. But yeah, I could load almost any other Google app and I know that their interfaces are just awful. Okay, come on. I'm trying to load up Google Chat now and it is taking way too long again. Okay, just gonna set that down while it's doing its thing. But it's weird because the screen goes not entirely black. Oh, no. Okay. The app just crashed. That time it was a crash because it just went back to the home screen. Oh my god, this is something special. Okay. I would show this to the camera, but I kind of don't want to accidentally out something or dox somebody. Uh, trying to get the app started again. Okay, so it's still, at this point, my biggest concern is I think Google has pretty much blown any chance they have of goodwill from developers. There are obviously a lot of new developers that weren't around for the first 3 iterations of this promise that tablet apps were about to get good. But we're at this point. I think so many developers have to look at tablets and say that there's too little of a footprint to really worry that much about focusing on them. There really aren't that many developers that are keenly interested in building Chrome apps. I mean, that was actually literally one of the reasons why Chrome OS started getting so many, or why they were pushing for people to be able to use Android apps on Chrome OS, because, man, no one was building apps targeting Chrome OS. So, you know, that was a problem. As you start picking through this list, like, the only segment in here that people are really excited about is foldables, which also, that is a relatively small part of the market. I'm not saying that people aren't developing apps with foldables in mind. I think that absolutely is a thing, but we're getting closer and closer to that point where all of the categories of devices, again, are not that exciting to any developers, at least not in the sense of they need to work on their apps to feature these things. And yeah, I feel like tablets, Google's strategy with tablets has gone so far off the rails that developers are now going to largely be opposed to caring about them. Oh geez. And the very first thing I get when I open Google Chat is spam. That's awesome. That is exactly what I wanted to see. Thank you, spam. What the hell is this? Oh yeah, okay, I don't know that one either. But someone decided to start a group conversation with me that I don't care about. Wow. Why do I have so much junk in... Oh, Google Chat. You're awful. Okay. Okay, we're done with you. Because I don't think anything good is going to come of that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. How many people feel like they have a bunch of tablet-optimized apps? Do you care? Honestly, at this stage, I think the answer is if it's an app that doesn't really need to be tablet-optimized, like Netflix or Hulu, something like that, then that's probably ideal for the tablet space. But I feel like so many apps are not trying to even be tablet optimized because it doesn't pay off. It actually takes a lot of time doing a good interface design for multiple different screen. I don't want to say densities. We'll just go with form factors. That is a real time investment. I've done development for this, and honestly, it may not seem like it, but 9 times out of 10, UI design is actually the thing that takes, well, design and development. It's one of the things that actually takes probably the longest in most development jobs. Now, that's not universal, obviously. There are times that you might need to only build an interface that's a couple of buttons and a text input. This is something you can do in a few minutes, and you're done, you move on. But in a lot of apps, honestly, the UI part it is the longest part of development in many cases. I mean, I created this tool to do the movie updates each week, and I literally just added a feature to it this last weekend because I was thinking, hey, there's this one thing that I do, it's kind of irritating, and it's not going to save me a lot of time each week, but it is going to it's going to save me, I think, about 5 to 10 minutes each week. And it's not even so much about the time it's going to save me as it'll prevent me from having to manually do one little step for most of the movies that I input. It's a little thing. It's really a tiny thing. But in adding it, the code to make this thing actually work, like the functional code, it took me 5 minutes, if that. I don't think it even took that. But adding, like fixing, tweaking it, adding to the interface so that I could support this thing, seriously took actually a lot of hours. Come to find out, there's a bug in Swift UI that is a real nuisance, and it is a very specific bug. It is something that only is going to affect some limited number of people, but I needed it to lay out a certain way, and it ended up taking forever. So it happens. But in order to have added that UI, even if things work correctly, it would have taken me at least, I'd say at least hour and a half to make it look decent, fit into the layout, do everything it's supposed to do. It would have taken me a good long while. And I look at tablet layouts and I think, no, this is a thing that doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen quickly. The same obviously is going to be true for foldables. The same is true-ish for wider layouts that you just have on Chrome OS. When you factor all of this stuff in, I just look at it and I have to ask, how much is this really worth it to developers? And the answer is almost always, it's not. David, isn't that the thing though? Everyone's going to be building for foldables, so why not? Or why wouldn't that make it good for tablets, basically? Sometimes it will be. The thing is, I also don't think developers are building that much for foldables. I think they're interested in it, but how much are they dedicating to it? And even then, is it developers who are seeing specific opportunities for their app to be interesting for a foldable versus a regular developer who's like out there building a note-taking app, for example? Is that developer sitting there going, hey, I care about foldables? They might care, but is it enough that they're going to build an interface for it? In a lot of cases, people are going to like figure, hey, my app works well enough on a foldable, I don't need to do more. Because foldables still make up a really tiny part of the market. And are people choosing your app over another app because of foldable compatibility? Or rather, optimization. It's not compatibility. Every app is going to be compatible on foldable. It's whether or not they're optimized for it. And I think a lot of developers are looking at this stuff and just, they're evaluating their time and saying, you know what? I could build a feature that 100% of my users are going to care about. Or I could even build a feature that 20% of my users are going to care about. It's not for everybody. It's maybe for just the power users. But the thing is, the power users will absolutely pay money to get my app with this feature. It's going to take me 6 weeks to build this feature. Is that worth it? Is that going to earn enough sales for me to do this? Then at the same time, they're sitting there looking at foldables or tablet layouts, or even trying to make something look a little better for Chrome OS. Are they sitting there saying, hey, can I make more sales by doing a bunch of work to make it so I get a little badge that says that this is tablet optimized? I think most of them are going to turn around and say, no, they're just not. And again, that sucks. Like, I would certainly want to encourage it. I would love to see developers put time into this, but even I'm sitting here saying, if a developer's got a choice between adding a feature that is actual functional, awesome, useful to everybody, or more people, versus, hey, do a tablet layout so that small percentage of tablet users, slightly larger percentage of foldable users, and technically much larger, but almost guaranteed not very large number of Chrome OS people who are installing Android apps and happen to use your app. Would I tell them to worry about their interface on those devices over building a more useful feature? Not a chance. I think if they're building those features, they want to build the features before they get to any of this stuff. And logically, most developers don't have trouble coming up with features that they want to add to their apps. They'll build that stuff first. And tablet optimization is always, well, that's not true. It won't always fall to the back of the line, but it's going to fall to the back of the line so often. I think a lot of developers just don't care. And if this isn't going to become a thing that gets momentum, Google will abandon this just like they did the previous 3 times. I mean, they had momentum in the early days of tablets, and they screwed it up. They had people willing to forgive the first screw up when they tried the second time, but they never really gained momentum on it. And then I remember so many people saying, hey, tablet optimization is going to be a thing, when Google tried to hype it up for Chrome OS and it never became a thing. And then everyone said it was going to happen when foldables came along. And we're in the midst of that right now. But does anyone see tablet optimization really happening on their apps? Does anyone with... But 12L is going to fix this. Yes. It already has, right? No. Yeah, I so don't like being cynical about stuff, but this is one spot where I think it's pragmatic to just admit most developers have reached the point where they don't see this as a net win. They can spend days, weeks, or even months trying to optimize their apps to be really, really perfect on a tablet layout. But I think at the end of the day, caring about that versus focusing on getting your feature set built out, I think the feature set is going to win almost every time, because it's something that you can put in the description of your app that might give you a search result. It's going to have a better chance of getting the attention of people who are looking for, I don't know, let's say a podcast app. And your podcast app has maybe network syncing. Or maybe your podcast app has, what was the name of it? Oh geez, I'm trying to think what it was called. It is this feature. It's been around in a number of apps, but basically it identifies blank points in a podcast, and it just kind of shaves time away from them so that the podcast plays a little bit faster. You don't get like empty sound at moments. Obviously, like if I wasn't playing music in the background of this, there are spots where I pause for a second, I think about what I'm going to say or something like that. There are apps, if you're listening to a pre-recorded podcast, that they can basically go through and shave time away from those spots, and that way you listen to a podcast that's maybe like an hour long, and lo and behold, it actually turns out that it's maybe, I won't say 40 minutes, let's say 52 minutes or 55 minutes, just because it could shave away that much silence. Some apps can do this. Would you, how many people are looking at that app and saying, oh, I need that tablet optimized. I don't care that it has this mobile feature. Obviously, some people would say that, but most people are going to look at it and go, you know what? Give me the time-saving feature that makes my podcast sound better. Or, you know, adding the ability to access password-protected podcasts. Or, like, the list could go on and on. Podcast apps have a million features. There's always something to add. There are... I don't know, I'm trying to think of other app types. But almost anything I can think of, almost any app type I can name, there's probably some long list of features that somebody out there wants to see added, or they want to add themselves. And chances are, the priority to get those things added is almost always going to supersede that of making a nice tablet interface. It's not the ideal scenario, but when tablets have lost, or Android tablets have lost most of their significant market share, and that's not to say they've lost it entirely. Obviously, that Samsung is still selling tablets in at least significant enough numbers to matter. I mean, they haven't stopped selling them, so there's got to be some number of those selling, even if they are part of bundles and packages. There's obviously like Fire tablets, though I don't think those even use a tablet interface most of the time. And even if they do, like, where are they getting their apps from? Because not supposed to be Google Play. So, yeah, I look at this, I want to cheer it on. I think Google is... I can't think of a better way for them to motivate developers to try for tablet apps, but at the same time, I think realistically the pragmatic answer to this is not about to be a tablet revolution. I don't think 12L is going to suddenly make tablets, or foldable interfaces for that matter, a super common thing. I think some developers will see a purpose for it and they'll add it. I think some developers are going to be sitting there with a team large enough that they can afford to put one or two people on supporting tablet interfaces, because for them, getting a huge boost, they will at least see it this way, a boost in like search results from tablet users. I think for them, this is going to be a worthwhile battleground. And so that's great. It's not like 100% of developers are going to blow off tablets. I don't think that would even remotely be a thing. But I do think we're not going to see a huge shift where all of a sudden loads of developers are all like, woo, tablets, we can't wait to build these. David, you were hoping foldables would bring back tablets. To a certain extent, I think they are. I think this, by the way, this gets into that sort of weird side of theory crafting. I think foldables will do that thing for some people where it will teach you wanted something that you previously didn't realize you wanted, or you may have liked in the past but kind of forgot about for one reason or another. So what I think is going to happen, all of these people that bought foldables, I think there's going to be some portion of them, some percentage, just for the sake of saying a number, I think, say 10% of those people, maybe it's higher, I think about 10% of those people are going to use the foldable for a while and then turn around and say, you know what, I really like my old phone more. I just like having that experience. It's preferable in some way. Something about foldables will just not appeal to them. The concept will appeal, but the actual experience of using it, I think a lot of people are just going to hit that wall and say, you know what, not actually for me. So they'll go back to their phone, but then they're going to quickly realize, man, I like having that bigger screen though. And that, I think, is actually going to spawn more tablet purchases. I do think foldables are going to have that sort of secondary purpose where they sort of reinvigorate people's interest in having a larger screen. So I think it will do something to those numbers. I think we will see tablet device sales going up. But is it going to significantly do anything? I wouldn't bet on it. I'm not saying it won't. I just don't think it's going to be some overwhelming sudden rush. People are not going to be buying up tablets left and right just because some foldables came out and kind of reminded them that there's something to be gained from an interface in that design. Let's see. There was one dumb little thing I needed to do at 5, which I wasn't intentionally watching the clock, but I just noticed it happens to be 5:01 for me, so forgive me as I quickly take care of a dumb thing. Wait, did I fix this? Oh, good, I did. Okay. So, by the way, if anyone has topic suggestions, feel free to mention, because while I have one other thing on my list to talk about, funny enough, as is unfortunately all too often the case, I ran out of stuff this week. This week was not the most interesting in terms of what's happened, or at least I didn't feel like it was. I don't know, maybe other people felt different, but yeah, I don't know, just it did not feel like the most exciting week. Whoops, almost done. Okay, so what else did I have? Oh yeah, the remaining topic. Google bought a micro LED startup. Not gonna lie, that one leaves me with the wonder why. But no, that actually makes a lot of sense. I'm sure they're probably for probably the same reason that Apple would constantly buy up, or not buy up, but they did that whole thing where they were investing in like they were investing in companies and guaranteeing themselves first access on stuff. I imagine that's the real reason that Google is doing it, because they want to have guaranteed access to some stuff. Let's see. Okay, that and okay, is that done? Hold on, just double checking that I'm actually done with the things I needed to do. Okay. Yeah, I'm good, I think. Am I? Yeah, I'm good. Okay. And put that down where it won't slide off of my phone. My Pixel 6 is still the thing I have to pay triple attention to all the time, because otherwise, if I set something on it, because of the waterfall screen, that whatever I set on it is almost guaranteed to slide off after like 5 minutes. Oh, okay. So, the other topic, it occurs to me that this one is super short, so there's not a lot to say here. And I'll look up the micro LED thing in a second, but I feel like there's probably not a lot to say there. But yeah, just because I think it's hilarious, Google Domains is no longer holding the beta tag. So I don't know how many people have used Google domains in the past, at least among you guys. Google Domains, for anyone that doesn't know, is a domain registrar. In case somehow you guys, anyone doesn't know what that means, it domain names the part that you type into your web browser's address bar, like theverge.com. Those names you have to register. Anyway, I was about to say dozens. There are thousands of domain registrars out there. It's not that interesting. Google started doing it evidently 7 years ago and initially launched with a beta tag on it. Because, David, you got the email, was shocked to see that it was in beta. Yeah, it's technically been in beta this whole time, and there was once or twice I looked at that and thought, why on earth are they still calling this in beta? Like, it seems like someone just forgot to ever not call it beta. And considering how little the interface has changed over those 7 years, honestly, like, that would be believable, because it does feel like a service that kind of got half forgotten. But anyway, I think it's kind of funny. Very notably, they're offering... Wait a second. That's wrong. Or maybe it's not wrong, but... The Google Domains email I got had a code for 30%. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, The Verge has a code for 20% off. I'm betting the 30% off code is maybe unique, because it definitely is not like a straight term or phrase. Though I have a funny feeling if people tried typing in domains 30 as their code, they could probably get a 30% discount. I'm just guessing, I don't know, but David Lama probably waiting to turn a profit before it left beta. I bet it was already turning a profit. David, you also got 30? Yeah, which actually, this comes at a decent time. There is a domain I kind of actually need to transfer. It will be the last domain that I still have on the old Namecheap servers. So it's not that I'm trying to consolidate under Google. That's generally kind of not a good idea. But getting away from Namecheap servers, kind of ideal, because their interface got terrible. So yeah, I just want to get things over to Google, and I have one last domain to transfer. This is actually kind of perfect. So this will save me $3.50 or so. Woo! Super exciting. Kind of makes me wish I could find a domain that actually costs some money, just so I could actually save some real money on it. But whatever. Anyway, yeah. I think that this is kind of hilarious, interesting, comical, whatever we're gonna say, I don't know, but yeah, they didn't need to call this beta for so long. And it's just another one of Google's weird little idiosyncrasies where things always carry the beta tag long after they should have stopped. But hey, it is what it is. So, damn, I think pretty much out of topics, but let's see what is up with that micro LED thing. Google micro LED. Let's just see if that turns up a good one. Pars Technica, and Ron just wrote it. Perfect. 13 minutes ago. So company name is Raxium. They deserve to be bought just to get rid of that name. Okay. Presumably for AR devices. Micro LED is expected to be the next big thing. Apple has been investing in the technology, which of course everyone thought micro LED was going to happen in, first it was going to be Apple's touch bar on the Mac, which please, that honestly did not make sense. They were never going to do micro LED for the touch bar. Not just because the touch bar was obviously not that popular, but also just for the fact that they didn't need to. Micro LED made more sense in a scenario where that technology needs to have insanely good refresh rates. The touch bar was never going to have insanely good refresh rates. It didn't need to. Let's see. Okay, and then Ron turned this into an editorial about AR and VR projects being killed. For real? I love Ron, but man, sometimes when he does this stuff. So he did 2 paragraphs about micro LEDs. And then 4 more about VR and AR projects. Wow. Okay. That was useful information. So, I don't know. Okay, so not a whole lot I'll say there. So let's see. I am feeling kind of like jumping back to the topic of Google I/O for just a moment, which is kind of hard to do because we didn't actually really get any information about it. But I'm kind of curious what their pushes are going to be this year. Obviously, they will have a lot of sessions focused on building for foldables because they just came out with 12L. It fully makes sense. They're going to talk heavily about foldables. I think Android Wear is going to be a big topic because, again, everyone is expecting the Pixel Watch. If they don't pre-announce the Pixel Watch, I will be shocked. Technically, they don't have to because we have Wear 3.0 coming. It is not a question. Everybody knows for a fact Wear 3.0 is coming. Frankly, I think it will actually be officially released at I/O. May 11th, RambleCast and I/O Adventure. That would be something. Hey, wow! I was about to say that activation phrase. I stopped myself right as I was just making the shape to start saying Google. Okay, so but hey, big company, why don't you invite me and I will happily do a live stream from I/O Adventure. We could make this happen. This could be a thing. I am open to this, very open to this. But okay, anyway, so it's beyond obvious that they're going to talk about Wear quite a bit during this because they're going to have to release a new SDK. They're making changes to the UI for Wear, not big changes, but enough that it kind of warrants releasing a new SDK that targets some of the new features. They're obviously going to probably have some UI tweaks that are very Material U focused. I think it's a safe bet that Wear is going to be a big topic too. So foldables and Wear. After that, new topics start getting real skinny because Android itself hasn't added that much since the release of 12. Obviously they're headed towards 13, but there's not a lot of signs that 13 adds a ton in the way of like user-facing features or even developer-facing features that are really going to change how apps are built. So there's probably not a big focus on sessions there. There has been effectively zero forward movement for Android Auto. So I'm not expecting a lot in terms of auto related sessions. Automotive, maybe. But as far as I know, you can't really build apps for Google Automotive, or Android Automotive, that are not basically still just the same Android Auto apps, but presented through like a custom interface that they designed. So at this stage, I'm kind of not feeling like there's a lot of topics, which kind of brings us back to maybe it's going to be AR focused this year. Maybe they're going to do just more generalized stuff. I don't know. It feels like this is... Oh, God. There will be no sessions on Fuchsia. Actually, that's not true. I will almost bet money there will probably be 1 or 2 sessions on Fuchsia where they're going to have developers more talking in the abstract. They're not... I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of people popping up and saying, oh, hey, here's the best way to build apps for Fuchsia. I think it's going to be more of a... here's this operating system. Let's tell you about some of the challenges that we've gone through developing it this last year or 2 years, or let's talk about how some subsystem is making Fuchsia run more energy efficient. Stuff like that. I don't think we're going to get anything too development centric related to Fuchsia. Material U in every session. That's kind of what I'm scared of. I'm a little too scared of that. I think Material U might actually take over, and that's... I still don't like it. But yeah, we're gonna see a whole lot of Material U stuff for sure. Trying to think of where else. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, kind of. I'm sure there will be more things that I'm not thinking about, but this year, outside of Material U and Wear and 12L for foldables, and to a lesser extent tablets, I don't think that they have a lot of big games. So they just held their big game developer event. They actually have, I think, 2 per year. So the game stuff is also going to be a pretty big topic. Obviously, more of they hit those topics harder during the game developer event that's going on right now. But they always do at least some of that at I/O. So there will be some game talk there too. Especially if they have... Oh, wait, actually. At I/O, they're going to almost guaranteed have sessions about game compatibility, because they just had... Or hardware compatibility. Because they just... not too long ago announced a new set of standards that basically says every device coming out that runs Android is going to have to support a baseline standard, and how that baseline is going to be updated, I believe, yearly. So I bet they're going to talk a little bit about that and how to target it, what the best practices are, and stuff in those lines. I think that'll probably come up actually quite a bit. Steam on Chromebooks sounds pretty neat, but will that spawn... I don't know that that's going to spawn developer sessions or talks. That's more of announcement territory. But we'll see. Who knows? I don't know. There are definitely topics. I'm not sure I'm seeing a whole lot of exciting stuff. Oh, wait. They just added... Wait, is this something I can talk about? I don't know if this was even a thing under embargo, but I want to call it a module. Yeah, when I search for it, I'm not coming up with the answers I'm hoping for, so this might be a thing that's under embargo. I just saw it mentioned somewhere, and I don't want to say what it is, in case it is actually under embargo and I wasn't supposed to. Well, it's not that I'm not supposed to see it, it's more I'm not supposed to talk about it if I saw it. So, if it is something, I don't want to make a mistake. Yeah, I don't know. This year at I/O could be, just in terms of developer sessions, might not be that exciting. I could be way off. It's just a hunch, but could be a thing. Let's see. I am curious because this year, I think above all years in the past, this is a really choice year to maybe do a hardware announcement during I/O. I've mentioned it several times. They need to get the Pixel Watch at least on the timetable. They don't have to announce the whole hardware, but they should be getting out there, and at the bare minimum, during the keynote, they gotta stand up there and say, hey, we have a watch coming. Just come right out and say it. We're making a watch. You'll hear more about it at the Made by Google event later this year, blah, blah, blah. Like, go ahead, say this. Get the word out. But you gotta commit to it. If they don't at least mention it during I/O, I'm seriously gonna wonder if they're actually killing that project again. So, I don't know. We'll see. So many question marks coming up with this thing. Oh. Damn it, Twitter. I don't need notifications about things like that. One of the things I've been paying very close attention to lately is how many notifications I'm getting on my phones. And anyone who was watching my Twitter account, you probably saw, I tried kind of casually shaming Facebook for the fact that I had literally dozens of Facebook notifications from just 3 days. It was so many notifications. It filled the entire amount of notifications I could see on my Pixel 6. Plus, in that like row of just notification icons that you get, it filled those two. And that was not all of them. It was far from all of them. That is comically ridiculous. And it was almost entirely, hey, we have friend recommendations for you, which is a feature I turned off ages ago. I should not be getting those, but I still get them. Some of them were posts you might be interested in seeing, some of which were people I never followed. So I don't know why. Anyway, I'm taking a lot of notice from how many crap notifications I get, and it's bad. Like some part of me is wondering how to kill this, because between news articles, which it's kind of hard to say no to those, because I typically do actually kind of want to see suggested news, but I don't necessarily want it this way, I guess. But between that, Facebook, very occasionally Twitter. Sometimes Twitter's the bad guy in this story. And YouTube. And YouTube is the one, I fully admit, I should just take that one off. What I need to do is, I don't want to get rid of all of the notifications because there are a few useful ones, but I should kill notifications from 90% of the channels that I subscribe to. There are already several that I've taken notifications off, but there are some that I still let them notify me when new videos happen, and I should really just kill that, because they're not doing me any good. I almost never watch anything that's brand new, with the exception of some news-oriented shows. I mostly am still catching up on videos from, I wish I was kidding, 5 months ago. I used to be at like 7 months, so I have made some progress, but every time I make progress, I then backslide like a week or two all of a sudden, because I just get too busy, or things come up, or I don't know, or maybe YouTubers start putting out like way too much more. Not really sure. Yeah, David, exactly. It doesn't take long. Facebook hammers notifications so hard, and it is the thirstiest behavior. I mean, they are. I can't begin to describe how much it's almost hilarious to see that they will ping me with literally any garbage notification they can, if it's just somebody that they think might be able to trigger me into coming back. And at this stage, like, Facebook has become the epitome of what I hate most on the internet. So I'm visiting so much less. I open the app only very occasionally to do like happy birthday wishes and stuff like that. I've tuned out almost everything else. Like, I used to make it a point to at least open the app and send happy birthday wishes to people. At this stage, I only do that with like maybe a handful of people, because I just can't bring myself to care enough about saying or doing anything if it's not, I don't know. I'm not even sure what to say about that. Though, now that I'm saying that, it suddenly reminds me, one of my best friends, her birthday is coming up, and I think it comes up before mine. And I still don't know. Let's see. We have the birthday list in here somewhere. That is another thing that drives me crazy, is there's no good way to actually find, or if there is, I don't know how, but I'm not sure how you find the list of birthdays without someone's birthday first coming up, and then you have to kind of click on it. I guess it's under events. Okay. Wait, what the? Oh, that's his. Where the hell is? Oh, there's hers. Now, what is her birthday? Come on now. Where is her birthday? Damn it. It tells me when her birthday is coming up, but it's not in her about page. Awesome. I love how Facebook works. It's so bad. But her birthday... Oh, it's almost exactly a month away. Good. I have time. Time to forget and then try to remember. That's pretty much what's going to happen. David, you uninstalled the app. You check on your computer. Okay, so here's the thing. Every once in a while, I kind of... I don't know. I keep it installed on my phone. I'm not sure why. I think it mostly comes down to every once in a rare while something needs, or something insists that I sign in through Facebook, and so it triggers the app in those instances. So that is a problem, but what I think I should do, what I might do, is maybe just turn off notifications entirely for Facebook, just block their notifications and give them no opportunity to hit me with garbage. And that'll just be it. I think if I do that, Facebook will almost completely cease to be relevant to me. I will just tune it out entirely, which I'm kind of okay with. Because I don't know, I'm just more and more I'm having trouble caring about Facebook. And mostly because, and I've mentioned this in the past, for me, I've always kept Facebook as a thing for locals, or like the friends that I don't necessarily need to keep that close tabs on, if that makes sense. Just realized I was way too far off center for the camera, but I've always kind of just treated it as a thing where it's for local people, it's for acquaintances that I never want to talk to, but it was a good way to just kind of sort those people out to there. And then anything on the internet kind of happens through Twitter, or at one point in history, Google Plus, or I keep track of some people through instant messaging or whatever. The thing is, ever since pandemic hit, like, my need to care about what's happening locally, or the people locally, has really dropped off. And a lot of them I kind of don't want anything to do with, because I've seen so many people who used to otherwise be sane enough, they have turned absolutely bonkers insane. Anything from a few of them who are definitely conspiracy theory believers, like they're just going fully down the crazy rabbit hole, to one that I know, she had a baby a few years ago and since then became a little bit of the crazy mom. Well, pandemic hit and her posts turned fully, like, you can tell she thinks every kid in America is like 10 minutes away from being sex trafficked. And it's like, whoa, chill maybe a little bit. Stop posting nothing but sex trafficking news. You know, maybe realize that this is a bit much and you're kind of getting caught up in some crazy. But yeah, just so many people have gone down a really, really bad rabbit hole. I want nothing to do with most of them now. My Facebook list, like the people I care to follow, is down to like 5 or 6. And Facebook at this stage, because I don't follow hardly anybody, they're just feeding me posts from people I don't follow. And they're feeding me posts from like advertising. That's pretty much all I get now. So yeah, my willingness to be there is already next to none. Just realized I forgot to claim the epic game of the week. So that is a thing that is about to happen in the background as I continue talking. But David, not sure that... Oh, wait. Your Spotify was like that for the longest time. Had to unlink. No notifications is a good idea. Yeah. And see, I'm not one of those people who is anti-notification. I actually really don't care about notifications that much. But in fact, like, there was recently an article about how bad notifications are for us. I don't believe that. I don't agree that notifications are some bad, unhealthy thing. But, and this is a big, huge rap video sized but, I think bad notifications, apps that flood you with notifications, I think those are unhealthy. It's like having, imagine for a second that you have this little chihuahua following you around all day long. You for whatever reason, you feel like you're supposed to not, I don't know, kick the dog across the parking lot, but so you let it follow you around, but you don't need to. And it just does nothing but annoy you and trigger notifications at every turn. I kind of just want that dog gone. Anyway, David Lama, not sure if this is a hot take too, but Instagram is god awful for photos. Never understood why people kept using for photography portfolios. So, what you're saying is not a hot take by any stretch. And I know that this is kind of a weird thing to say, but, well, okay. I assume you know this background, maybe not, but I'm kind of talking about it from the perspective where I've actually heard a lot of photographers talk about it. It obviously started as a thing just for iPhone users. The whole premise being like, hey, iPhone user, why don't you post good photos that you took through an iPhone and obviously applied our filters to. And that was the whole thing about it. You couldn't post anything from any other source, except of course you could upload stuff to your camera roll, then post it from there, but whatever. Then at a certain point, it really, because there were people who were looking at it and it was interesting, a lot of photographers jumped on it at that point. And that was still very early. Photographers started jumping on it just a little bit before the Android version came out. Not many, but it started with just a relatively small number. But a lot of photographers saw this as their opportunity to have a social network be kind of their distributed portfolio. And it wasn't a thing where they were trying to make that their only portfolio. It was just like the extension of their portfolio. And then as it grew to support Android devices and things like that, Instagram started becoming that thing where maybe not quote unquote pro photographers, obviously plenty of pros were doing it too, but the ones who were kind of trying to do the whole new media advertising approach to things, they started jumping on Instagram because it was a picture forward place for them to post what was effectively a portfolio, kind of. And it was a lot of them were giving the advice, hey, don't make this your primary portfolio, but make it a thing where people who might find you through social media or through social networks, think about what they're looking for and post for them, which was usually like the advice was usually try to post something that's going to be viral because it will get attention to you. And then once people find you, link them to your other real portfolio, which honestly is not bad advice. But then at a certain point, that morphed into the bad advice, which was a whole bunch of people saying, no, I just put my portfolio on Instagram. Like any photo I care to show off, it goes on Instagram. Then people can see my entire history of what I think is good, and I can craft an Instagram wall that's themed photos over a season or a month or whatever. That kind of thing, it makes sense on the surface, but if you think about it even a little bit, it's a really bad idea because you're not curating your portfolio. You're just posting kind of crap that people might or might not care about. It's not structured or laid out well. Plus, depending on your audience, people are going to see those photos and comment. And the last thing I would want in a portfolio is comments from people who are, if I was shooting, let's say, swimwear, I don't want a bunch of thirsty dudes from some random place all coming in to make crude statements. If I'm posting about architecture, I don't want commenters popping in and being like, I don't know, you should have shot that better, or hey, that's not what it looks like, I've been there, or I don't know, just you're gonna attract a lot of weird stuff. You're gonna have people complaining about marketing shots. You're gonna have people complaining that you over edited. I don't want those comments there for portfolio. And David, it went downhill from there. Yeah, it did. I would say Instagram's downhill moment, even though this was huge for them, this was big, massively beneficial, but I think Instagram's downhill moment was when Instagram became Facebook for, I don't want to say Facebook for millennials, that's not the right way to say it, but it became Facebook in meme form. All people were doing, and I got a few friends that I'm obligated to keep on there, all they do is post memes. Usually like it's a poem, a super short poem, or it's inspirational phrases, or it's, I don't know, just stuff like that, or it might literally just be dumb memes. I've seen so much of this popping up on Instagram, and it's like, guys, this isn't, I mean, you can use it however you like, but this isn't what it's for. And I've had to unfollow a bunch of people because they post that kind of crap. And likewise, I also don't love that people use Instagram as their daily vlog photo kind of thing, because I can't tell you how many times I've opened up Instagram and seen somebody who took a picture from like the parking lot of some place, and oh hey, we're going to lunch at such and such thing. It's like, I don't care. I'm so uninterested in your lunch plans, which obviously this is the same problem that Facebook has had. People have also done this on Twitter. The trick is obviously don't follow these people, and I mostly don't, but every once in a while they creep into the list. Let's see if this is just the random test for test's sake. I'm opening Instagram and I want to see what the things I find are. I want to make sure that I'm not about to have something that is grossly inappropriate or something pop up before I switch views. Okay, so do I go with... Okay, this says so much about my follow list as we get into this. Okay, so yeah, I'll switch over to this and change views. Scroll down just a bit. And okay, well, I'm just kind of making a point of hiding the interface elements that don't need to be there. Okay, so first up, I have what may as well be a sponsored post from Made by Google account, of course. Then a swimwear photographer shared a video that I believe is promoting his, I believe it's his event, like a workshop coming up. Then One Wheel. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I follow One Wheel because, oops, I really want, one of these days, I absolutely want to get one. It's probably a dumb idea, but I want to get one. Then Inspirational, of course, had, someone's going to do an inspirational thing, which, actually, wait, did that? Well, I'm scrolling up for a reason. I want to see. I think this triggered, oh, maybe not. For a second I was thinking, oh, that is a video. Yeah. There's a, down here in the bottom corner, there's a mute thing. So she posted an inspirational quote as a video. Or not inspirational quote, but take time today to tag somebody that you know is working hard and tell them you're proud of them. Yeah, I mean, good, but I don't need it. I follow this person because she's actually a friend. But yeah, it's not a thing I'm worried about. I also follow Insta360. I'll say it right now. for real, hell yes. Insta360's stuff that they post on Instagram is awesome, because it is always stuff like this. Some dude jumping off a helicopter in a wingsuit. Yes, please. I want to see this stuff all the time. Because say what you will, it is not the sort of thing that technically should probably belong on Instagram, but is awesome. I just want to see more of this stuff. Then Peter McKinnon, another post from the person who does the inspirational thing. GoPro, come on. So, dude going down steps on a bicycle. Like, I want to see more of this stuff just because it is stupid and fun to watch. So, by the way, GoPro and Insta360, anytime you want, let me know. I want to review your cameras. Let's see. And then, yeah. Actually, One Wheel. If I can find a way to make an excuse to interview that, I want to do that too. I don't know how I would make an excuse on AP to do this one, but I want to. Anyway, so this is seriously my follow list on Instagram because I don't want to see most things. I also follow some photo-oriented sites. I haven't checked past this one, so I'm not sure what would come after this. And I don't know what other things are posted. Like, I do follow I follow F-Stoppers, which is a photography website community. They also post a crap load of news. Anyway, they also repost images from the community, and every once in a while they will repost stuff that is technically barely within Instagram's lines for what they'll accept. And by that I mean they basically post nudes that are like barely edited to no longer constitute rule violations. So I'm not going to go further down on this list for that reason. But though I am, just for the hell of it, kind of continuing to scroll down now. Wait, is that? Huh. Insta360 did a thing with Will Smith. My god. Okay. I'm just putting this on for the hell of it. But Will Smith is at the top of, I think that's that tower in oh damn it, Dubai. And using the 360 camera. Why is it freezing? What the hell's up with that? But yeah, that looks... I'm not afraid of heights, and even I look at that and it's like, yeah, that might be a little bit freaky. I'm not sure I'd want to be all the way up there. But yeah, anyway. Let's see, is that in Dubai? Yeah, that's Dubai. Insta is now the #1 dating app. I have never heard that. I mean, I've heard of a random few people who are hyping up like meeting people on Instagram, but I've not heard anyone refer to it as a dating app. It's really funny to me as I scroll further through this. It's so many posts from brands. I'm not even getting ads. I'm getting posts from brands that I follow. And Ryan Reynolds. Posts from brands that I follow plus Ryan Reynolds. It's so much stuff from GoPro and Insta360. Honestly, I need to get back to doing this, because weirdly, this in a way is kind of like watching the previews at a movie theater. You know how some people, and I'm 100% one of these people, I like to get to the movie theater so that I can watch the trailers. We all know people who do it if we're not those people ourselves. Anyway, yeah, I want to see the trailers. I want to see what cool stuff they have coming. I swear, Instagram for me really is, evidently, I just want to see what cool stuff brands are making with their products, because that's the coolest thing that I'm gonna see on the internet today. Wait, what the hell is that? Wow, Sony's got... I also follow Sony's Instagram account. They post some of the most gorgeous shots. Screw it, I'll just... There. This is our background for the next minute. Because cheers to whoever shot that. That is just beautiful. Awesome. We have trailers at home. I'm trying to find a clever but not entirely offensive way to make that into a trailer trash joke, but I don't think there is one. So I'm just not touching that further than saying I was trying to come up with a good joke. So yeah, anyway. Fortunately, when it comes to Instagram notifications, I don't get hardly any. I'd say 2 a day. And they're always a list of people who have recently posted stuff. That's all I get. I never get some crazy long list of Instagram posts like every 20 minutes, like Facebook will try to hit me with. That's not a thing, which is great. I hate Facebook's incessant push of garbage. Instagram, I can deal with. Why am I... Oh. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I saw someone had tagged me, but it was an everyone kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to feel the like notifications are over party. I want fewer notifications, not because I think that they're causing me problems, just because I don't like wiping or swiping them away anymore. I'm reaching that point where the clear all button is too tempting, but I don't want to kill off the few notifications that came from other legitimate things. So I spend too much time swiping away notifications from Facebook. Again, some from YouTube, and that one's my fault. Did I get it? Something was flying around me. Not sure if I hit it though. But yeah, I want to get control just so I don't have to clean this stuff up as often. Anyway, so I'll put it out there again. Do we have any other topics? Probably not going to go for too much longer, but it's worth asking. I think there may be something else out there, but at this stage, kind of suspicious that we might not. What the hell is that? Huh. I'm not actually sure who that person is. Actually, I'm just gonna find out. Yeah, I honestly don't know who this person is. Someone follows me on Instagram that I don't know. Actually, I know there are a fair number of people. Oh, yeah, okay, I think I know who this is. Possibly. Okay, well, not interesting. So yeah, topic list is open for the most part. Again, it feels like a week that just hasn't had much news. The news that's happened has all been kind of not dead topics, but just not the most active or exciting topics. The Google Play Games thing coming to, or sorry, is it Play? I think it's Google Play Games for PC. Like that's interesting, but we can't touch it yet. The devices that have been announced recently, not super exciting. The the dirty pipe news, that's technically concerning, but again, it's not really that interesting of a story outside of the fact that you should just not sideload stuff. Shenzhen is shut down due to COVID. Man, that feels like old news at this point. It's been talked about extensively, but yeah, that actually is pretty significant. It's worth noting, I've heard two different versions of what's happening. The biggest one, supposedly, or the two versions. One version claims that if you work in just the tech sector, supposedly just that was shut down. But the reality is they shut down basically the whole city. It's over a relatively small number of COVID cases, but it technically was a spike, and they haven't specified this, but I have read a couple of people saying that it's because the variant that was being detected is concerning. So I'm not sure if that's really the case or not, but I get the impression that's probably the real issue. I think they're concerned that the variant that's showing up is actually the thing that endangers longer term, endangers that there are people who are going to be out for longer periods, or it might have a higher mortality rate. But whatever the case, yeah, Shenzhen being shut down, I don't think it's going to last super long, but the big topic has been, oh my god, we're not going to have access to or the manufacturing of all these things is gonna go completely down the drain. Like, nothing is gonna get made. And the reality of it is, I bet this shutdown is gonna be tops 2 weeks, and I have a feeling it won't even last that long. So if that's the case, I mean, is this really gonna matter? I'm sure that's going to impact shipping of some stuff, but if the worst thing that anyone can say is, oh yeah, your product is going to be we're out of a particular product, it's going to be 2 weeks. Is that really that big of a deal? And it's going to normalize again within, say, a month. So I don't think I think it's getting a lot more attention than it necessarily, or sorry, not attention. I mean, it deserves the attention. But I think the panic about the outcome is going to be a lot less significant than anyone is making it out to be. You wouldn't think that China wants to lose that money, so they'd rather ignore their citizens. There's that. I mean, I agree with you there. I think as a country, China clearly does not care that much about individual citizens, or even large groups of citizens. But I think they're doing the same balancing act that the smart people in the US were doing, where if you see the potential for half of your workforce to get sick and be out of work for a month or longer, the smart thing to do is turn around and say, okay, look, we're just not going to come in for a week or 2 weeks. Let's make sure everyone is as not sick as possible, and not risk having the entire workforce go home sick. So yeah, it's would you rather give up 2 weeks, or would you want to risk losing half of your workforce and for like 6 weeks? 9 times out of 10, I think most people would choose to give up the 2 weeks. So yeah, that's what I think this is. They're doing the math calculation and saying, hey, it's okay, we can give up a week or two, maybe I doubt it'll hit 3, but let's say it hits 3. Whatever. If they're willing to do that, it's because they know that productivity is going to completely plummet if they don't. So that's what this is. And I'm not trying to be cynical and hateful towards China or anything here. I'm just saying, logically, this is how governments are going to operate. The government's job isn't to be super friendly to one person. It's to care that all the people can get their crap done with as little risk as possible. Let's see. What else? You don't think these workers get any sick leave? I'm pretty sure they don't. I'm almost borderline certain they don't. But hey, you know, I don't know what there is to say about it beyond that, but yeah, you know, it sucks for them. There's no good story in this equation, but I don't know. You kind of just have to deal with that, I guess. To be fair, the entire city is in shutdown, so it's not like it's just the people at big factories. It's people pretty much everywhere. It's the only people who are going to continue working are the ones who deal in food, medical, or other essential services. So it's not like a whole bunch of people are going to turn around and quit their jobs to go work in essential services. It's more likely that they'll take a bit of a financial hit. Most of those same companies are probably going to say that they'll offer at least some sort of a perk for people if they don't quit to go to another job. And that'll be about it. That's my guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't have enough information about how things work over there. But you got to figure a lot of companies, even if they don't want to, are probably at least partially willing to entice their customer base to stick around. But hey, that's just my guess. Maybe I'm way off. Let's see. Anyway. So, David, you asked, what are the plans for this weekend? I have not, in any appreciable way, made what I would call plans, but in all likelihood, probably going to be streaming some Control. Let's see. Yeah, most likely Control, because I'm not as far in as I thought I was, and there's plenty of stuff left to do in that. Let's see. I'm the more I thought about it, the more I'm kind of leaning away from Dead by Daylight, as much as it can be fun. Though I didn't get a chance to get around to playing a killer. Yeah, it can be fun, but I don't know. I feel like that's one of those that's going to get repetitive and not very interesting. So, yeah, probably not going to pick that up. You never know. It may happen still, but I'm not jumping on it. Let's see. Trying to think. Was there anything else? Yeah, I'm brain farting on if there was anything else. Let's see. I could maybe do... I'm trying to think, do I have anything I need to do photo shoots for? And not exactly. I kind of have one thing, but I can't really do photo shoots, live photo shoots of it. I could do photo edits maybe, but I haven't shot the photos yet, so I'd have to squeeze that in. So probably nothing like that this weekend. Wow, I should not be glancing at I should not be glancing through Instagram stuff, because every once in a while you come across something that's like, what? That's weird. But alright, anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I can't think of much else to ramble about. So let's see. Yeah, pretty sure this weekend will just be a relatively chill game streaming weekend. I imagine I'll be streaming both nights. I don't know of anything going on, though. You know what? Weather. Is there any reason to be? Oh, yeah. Wow. Nothing. I'm not doing anything this weekend for weather. Oh, boy. Not that it's that bad, but cloudy Friday. Most of Friday I'm going to be working on the movie post anyway. Though it's 62. Like, 62 is actually decent, but cloudy, so who knows. Saturday it's going to be rainy. And Sunday it's going to be cloudy, probably still rainy, if we're being honest. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Whenever I see full clouds, I'm always skeptical that it's something that I'll be getting out into. But we'll see. We are finally getting into spring, so I'm seeing potential. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, with that, I think that's about it for tonight. One quick look around, make sure I'm not forgetting something. I don't see anything that I'm forgetting. So with that, thanks everyone for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation, joining me, keeping me chatting. Let's see. Again, as just said a moment ago, I'll be back around this weekend for some game streams, probably playing Control. Let's see. And as usual, of course, I'll be writing some random bits of weird news, because that's a thing. I do it. It happens from time to time. But yeah, I hope everyone has an excellent rest of your week. Stay out of trouble. I'll see you guys in the Discord. And with that, good night, everybody.